not on.
Okay. Well, I'll start with consent. There is an extension this week. It's the purchase and sale agreement for the PUD property. That sale was, of course, conditioned on the plat being completed. The plat has been turned in. Western Pacific Engineering did everything they needed to do. So Jim has it, and it's in there, or I should say planning has it, and it's in the comment review process. So the extension takes us out to the end of April. Which, you know, if I would hope we don't have any issues with the review and comment process, but in a perfect world, that could take 60 days, you know, if it's very expedient. So that's what we're going to cross our fingers and hope for. And then you guys will see it and sign off on it. The CS building is out to bid. We have a mandatory walkthrough on February 6th. And the bid opening is on February 19th for that remodel. Hopefully the contract process will take about a week and work will begin immediately. I don't expect it to take very long to remodel that building. So I'm still hoping to be in there by April, May, as long as everything goes well. I see I have a meeting with Human Resources today to review the RFP, and I'm going to assume that's for the wage scale study.
Yeah.
Again, this is an easy RFP for me to accomplish. The real work, I think, will begin when you do hire somebody, and that work will take place with an HR consultant and HR staff. I think you just have to be really careful about how that work is done and who does that. I think it needs to stay in HR and get through its process. So I see that you have a Tyler update today. I just want to let you know. So I've talked about this before where last month, 2 months ago, I got sent a dozen or more calendar appointments that blocked out either a half or a whole day with no content on. You know, so it's hard to just block days out of your calendar when you don't know what's going on. So I've met with them when I can. I heard about this one the day of a meeting. Vanessa came into my office and said, "Hey, your name came up in a meeting today." I said, "With who?" She said, "Oh, somebody was talking about Tyler not progressing because key stakeholders weren't showing up. They're having a meeting today about project management." I'm like, "Today?" You know, and because you don't, it's one thing to send those blocks of time out, but I can't just free up my calendar with everything else I have to do. So I'm hoping that scheduling is working well for them. I know that's a daunting project. I would hope for, you know, communication maybe even the day before that says, "Hey, tomorrow we're getting together on project management. Can you show up for 10, 15 minutes? The 2 meetings I've had with Tyler haven't taken more than 10 or 15 minutes. They're just data gathering, really, you know, so anyway, so it's been a little bit difficult just in case that comes up. It's a daunting project and I'm not trying to be, you know, finger pointy or anything like that. Just tomorrow we also have a jail and morgue update, so I'm preparing for that. I'm also answering lots of questions about the bid. And we have a 3 p.m. meeting tomorrow with Port of Moses Lake about land. So I'm looking forward to that. I have had some back and forth in email with Kim Foster, but nothing substantive. And a Facebook post is out on the RAB. I think you all have seen that. It is getting some decent action. I did talk to Tom Dent on Thursday, and he's going to look for funds from a public safety viewpoint, but he did point out that money this year was going to be tight, his words. So keeping our fingers crossed that he might be able to find maybe some public safety grants. And I talked to the DOT about this too. I said, "Hey, Tom Dent comes back and says, you know, justify this from a safety standpoint. You can help me write this up." And they're like, "Oh, absolutely." So, yeah. So, yeah. Tomorrow you have a Gallup presentation with the PUD. Can I ask what that is?
That's a leadership presentation.
Oh,
basically just something they use for leadership.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sheriff's office was going to use it,
Yeah,
so we decided to add it to us to see what it was.
yeah,
Since ultimately we'd be paying for it.
right. Very good. Yeah, I was just curious. And then lastly, I sent you an article this morning that was sent, well, it was on I think it was a part of a Wasac email about Thurston County's proclamation to build an entirely new courthouse facility. Yeah. Interesting to note, all the references in our article, where they came from, everything came from the judges. You didn't see any comments from commissioners' facilities. It was all from the judges, and one from their county manager. But more interestingly was all of the public comments about it. You guys are on Facebook, so you know that 90% of the comments are negative, but a lot of the comments, even though that article was, a lot of it came from the judges and the conditions were talked about by the judges, all the comments were pointed at the county commissioners. It was interesting. Perception is reality, you know. I'd be willing to bet that if that doesn't go well, that they'll have lots of questions during their reelection campaigns. They've been doing this for a while. You know, before we started, it's interesting, before we started our process, I had found this presentation that was out there publicly from Thurston County. They had paid an architect to come up with different scenarios for them. And they had this scenario where they were completely moving the campus. It was 8 to 10 buildings or something like that at a cost of, I don't know, it was in the $300, $400, $500 million range. And that's what I thought they were going with. It was a pretty complete presentation. It was 200-300 pages long. A lot of money spent on that, and it seems like they're not. That's one of the plans that they scrapped. But interesting to watch, because as I read it, I thought there's a lot of similar themes to what we have here with what we're trying to do. But I think we have opportunity to really open up space here, you know, if some of the things we've discussed in executive session come to fruition. But I think that's also a really long-term proposition. So anyway, other than that, just staying busy, working on jail stuff and the CS building and the morgue. So trying, you know, just still trying. Hopefully that will be a great meeting with the port tomorrow. So
I think that port meeting is that on Zoom or?
it's here, I think, at 3 o'clock. I think it's scheduled. Is it?
Yeah, it's scheduled. I would assume they're coming over, but
Let me look at my phone.
they can zoom in if they want.
I know they said they had a meeting with us, but I didn't know if they were coming over here, if we were going over there, but there's no way we can go over there.
No,
I don't,
all of our meetings, they come over here unless, yeah, we can't.
So it's Dan Roach, Richard Hanover, B. Peterson.
Bonnie.
Yeah,
She's
I'm just looking at the email addresses. So, and I don't see a Zoom link, so I'm assuming it's here.
Coming over.
Yeah, at 3 o'clock. So any questions for me at all? Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. So over in the Law and Justice building, we have a very old building automation system from Johnson Controls called Metasys. We have had issues with it ever since I've been here. We've brought it along, you know, put Band-Aids on it, fixed it up. The brain of that thing, the box that controls that entire system, died last week. And so we lost the ability to automatically heat the jail. Kevin and the maintenance staff jumped in and they got some manual controls on there and started controlling it manually, but that's really hard to do. It's not a long-term solution. So we got a hold of somebody at Johnson Controls. They came in and they took a look at it and they said, hey, you know what, this thing had a recall on it. It's, you know, it's a year or so out of date or whatever, so we should be able to take care of it. I just got a text from Kevin saying that it's too far out of date and they're not taking care of it, and it's going to be about a $15,000 fix to if they can find that box. Johnson Controls, so you know, we have worked actively to get their components out of our complex. About 8 years ago, they really pushed us to to upgrade our Metasys system to their Metasys 4.0. It was a $25,000 adaptation at the time, but it also came with a $10,000 a year subscription for the privilege of having their software in our building. That didn't include any maintenance or support services. That was just the licensing cost to have it. To which we said no. We use automated logic to where we don't have any licensing costs with them, and all of our incremental upgrades are free. We just did a major upgrade, a milestone upgrade with automated logic, and I think it was $1,500. So there's a huge difference in the industry out there with some of the partners you can choose. And Johnson Controls historically we've worked very hard to keep them out of the new jail.
Do we have anybody else that could change that out?
That's the problem. So no, it has to be somebody from Johnson Controls or JCI. So that's one of the reasons why we don't want them in our buildings. You know, the web control from Automated Logic, they've been very good about training our guys. They'll say, "What do you want to know? Let's go through it point by point, and I'll show you how to manipulate and do everything." So our guys can take care of our building automated system now. You know, we've got a great, and it doesn't cost us. There's no support contract. You know, so they just train us. Part of it. So anyway,
Seems like it'd be hard to not ever work with Johnson Control.
What's that?
Seems like it would be difficult to never work with them because they are giant.
They are giant.
Like as far as top businesses, they're probably in the top 100.
They are, yeah. So, and they control a lot of stuff. Their fire control systems and automated logic, or their building control systems. I can tell you, Automated Logic was just bought by Carrier. So there's major players no matter who you work with. But yeah, no, you're right. It is hard, but there are a lot of other industry partners you can work with that don't come with a steep price tag for working with them.
So they buy them all.
I hope not.
Our only option is to get it repaired then.
Yeah, and then that's part of, you know, when we do get to the point where we can remodel that building, that system, this is a really old system. I know we haven't had time to go for a walk yet, but I'll show you the differences in what we're doing now to control these buildings compared to that. And that's an old pneumatic system that runs on an air compressor and little black tubes. I mean, 1,000,000 miles of little black tubes to every little component, so. Anyway, that's what I've got today. Do you, the commissioners, have any questions?
Sorry, I was late. My New Year's resolution is not working out for me very well this year so far, but start the new week.
We can start making wake-up calls. You can just,
Get one last thing. Thank you, John. Thank you for
yeah,
what you
you
did.
bet. Kevin or Rob, anything?
No, I can't think of anything.
All right. Well, you guys know where you can find me.
We'll go into recess until 8:45 a.m. Good morning, it's 8:45 a.m. and we're here for the weekly development services update. Hello, Jim.
Good morning, commissioners. How is everybody?
Good.
Great.
Fantastic.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, well, I've prepared an agenda, so, and I'm going to jump to my number 5 and work backwards, I guess. So traditionally, historically, we have provided what we think is important to the board, but I guess I should ask, what do you guys want to hear from us? We've never asked that. So I know
Everything that you feel is important.
Okay. Because we have, just given you information, but I know that we're changing up the way that we meet, and that we're going to meet. We've always met weekly and given you a 15-minute update, and then once a month for an hour. So that being said, I'll just kind of give you what we've been working on last week. This is very heavily planning related, since that's where I spend the bulk of my time, but got a lot going on upstairs, of course, in planning. So last week, we had a kickoff 2 weeks ago. We've got a climate resiliency element of our comprehensive plan. That's a new element. So we kicked off our climate action team. So developed a roster of almost 50 individuals, wide ranging, in hopes to create a climate action team to give us feedback here in the next 2 months in creating that climate resiliency element of that comprehensive plan. We're using measurement is our planner, Kara Odegaard, and her team. And so the questions that are being asked of this team, in and around, what extreme climate weather related events does Grant County experience? Are there any climate weather related hazards that we're concerned about? Underserved communities. It's really wide ranging. So as they start to develop more questions, I'll send that out to the board, and you guys can get a better idea of what this team is developing. So more to come on that one. Spent a lot of time last week working on the shrub step mitigation bank and narrowing it down, the interagency review team, what we're calling the IRT. And that will be comprised of 2 members from the county, myself and somebody else from the county, 2 members from Fish and Wildlife, and that seems to be a revolving door. People coming and going, leaving the agency, and new folks coming in, and then 1 member from the conservation district. So what we're trying to establish there is, of course, that test bank, that trial bank, and there's been a lot of back and forth between the county and Fish and Wildlife about mitigation ratios. And I think we made a lot of progress last week. We met 3 times, and the point that we keep driving home to Fish and Wildlife is, of course, they like to start at 2 to 1, and we don't necessarily want to go there. We don't want to be at 2 to 1. We want ratios that are at 1 to 1 or less than 1 to 1. And at one point last week, we had to remind them that we need to step away from acres and start talking about loss of ecological function, because that's what their statute says, is it's ecological function. It's not acres. It is, if I have a bank, if I have a set aside of 1,000 acres in a bank that has really, really high ecological function, and I'm mitigating a project that has really, really low ecological function, and we used a rating system, let's say this bank has an ecological functional rating of 12, and we're mitigating for a project that's in an area that is not core, that has an ecological functional rating of 4. It would seem then very obvious that the credit that this development would require would be significantly less if going to a bank with a very high functional rating. I'm glad I'm getting some head nods, because it seems to me that that's really easy math.
I would agree.
That was very difficult, and took 3 meetings last week to get head nods from.
So the governor's inauguration speech, that he said that, like, permits through the state permits, if you don't get them on time, you will get your permit and a rebate or a refund.
Right.
And he's going to be rolling back some of these. I mean, would this be something that he will be working on rolling back?
Probably not, but that was directed.
Sounded good. It sounded good.
Yeah, it was directed at
It
state.
was like pretty exciting.
Yeah, it was, and that was directed at state agencies. And I reminded them of that, at the end of the first meeting, and thank you for bringing that up, because at the end of the first meeting, Fish and Wildlife agreed to meet offline with their team. They were having a really hard time with what I just described to you. And I reminded them, I said, so a day in the life at my counter consists of a number of different things. And included in that is discussions around the energy code that has, driven home pricing up this year another $30,000. So my job is to try to the best of my ability to make, housing affordable, and it's continuing to become more unaffordable every time we turn around. So and this Fish and Wildlife group is out of Wenatchee, and so I kind of pleaded to them. I'm like, you guys, there are 3 of you on this call that live in Wenatchee, and you all well know that there's no affordable housing in Wenatchee. So please keep in mind when you're thinking about what Grant County is trying to do here in setting up this mitigation bank, it's in an attempt to at least help try to do something to make housing affordable. So anyway, we made a lot of progress in that regard. So more to come. We just need to now find a test bank. So I'm going to working really hard on a developer's agreement and a decommissioning and restoration bond for Silicon Ranch. That's a solar development that is happening out in Quincy. They are looking to submit for permits probably next week, but now task at hand is coming up with that decommissioning and restoration bond and developers agreement. So I have a meeting today at 9:30 with our land use attorney to look at what that agreement would look like and what that bond looks like. To put it into perspective, the decommissioning estimates that have come in, and what I'm talking about is should this project, when this project is built, and should the developer become insolvent and walk away from the project, what is it going to cost if the county had to go in and decommission and restore it back to its original state? And those numbers are coming in and around $20 million. So they need to post a bond sufficient enough to cover that $20 million. And then that bond and developers agreement gets revisited every 5 years for the rate of inflation for the life of the project. So we're working on that this week, and you'll expect to see developers agreement to be placed in front of the board for signature, I would say, here in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Is that going on private property, or
It is.
Is it their property, or are they going to lease it?
It's leased land. Yeah, it's leased predominantly from the Seaver Crows. So working on that, more to come on that one. Had a meeting last week with City of Moses Lake. It was very productive meeting. It was very encouraging in and around a project out at affectionately known as Paradise Point. So we have a developer out there that's proposing 612 lots on a 100-acre parcel out in the May Valley. Currently, the county has made a determination of significance out there, and the applicant is working very hard to mitigate that down by doing some revisions in traffic and tying it back to the county engineer's 6-year transportation plan. The applicant's also working with the City of Moses Lake on water availability. They put together apparently a task force to make that happen. So they'll be meeting with the applicant next week, I'm told. The county engineer is back this week, so I'll be meeting with Dave and reviewing some memorandums that they put together on modified traffic, revised traffic memos, in hopes to, and some phasing that they've done in hopes to maybe revise that determination of significance. So.
Is that development in the city?
It's not. It's in the city's UGA. It's in the county, but in the city's UGA out in off of West Shore.
When it comes to taxes, does that come to the county, or does it go to the city? It
would come to the county. highly unlikely that it would ever be annexed into the city. It's so far out, but in the UGA, it's way north of 90. Dave has come up with some alternate street sections that do include sidewalks, but also some drainage ditches, some infiltration ditches, because the traditional street cut, curbs, gutter, sidewalks, catch basins don't make any sense out there if we're gonna have to maintain it. We just don't have the equipment to do that. So it would allow the developer the 50-foot right of ways instead of the standard county 60-foot right of ways. But so that's good. They would be able to maximize the lot sizes to the city standard, but still have a street cut that would be something that the county would be able to maintain. It would make better sense.
So are they gonna extend sewer out there?
That would be that. Yeah, they would have to extend sewer at the cost of the developer and water as well. So if we were to be able to make a determination of non-significance, they would have to significantly alter the application. But if they were able to do that, it would come with the caveat that they enter into a developer's agreement with the city to extend services. So.
And you don't believe they would annex if that happens?
No,
I do.
no.
So,
In my meeting with the city, we discussed that last week, and they agreed. I had.
yeah, but that's staff, not council.
Yeah.
Right, and council's gonna go
If
tax grab.
they did, it'd be a long ways out.
The last time I talked to them about another parcel out in May Valley, they told me that there was no way they could take any more property into the city because they've already got, they're maxed out on their amount of property they can have in the GMA and they couldn't add any more unless they took something out.
The interim city manager in my meeting on Friday acknowledged that annexation would probably not happen, and so is going to propose a tax in lieu on this project. So that tells me that it's not going to be the case. So. Yeah, so that is what we're working on this week and working on last week. So very, very busy week, amongst other things. So.
Well, thank you for taking care of everything in the office. We really appreciate it.
You bet. We have like 1 minute left. Any questions for me?
You talked about that, the shrub step. Who else is gonna be on that?
The IRT is county. So right now it's me. So looking for 2. So you're welcome to participate if you would like.
I'd be interested.
Okay. So we want to keep it nimble. So what that IRT would be is so it would consist of anytime we're looking at a potential mitigation bank, then it would be you and I representing the county, and it would be 2 members from Fish and Wildlife, and then 1 member from the Conservation District, and then we would be looking at a bank by bank specific situation and negotiating the credits that would be generated by that bank. So that's what it would entail.
Get the 2 guys from Wenatchee Fish and Game to come over here and view some of our properties so they understand what they're doing.
Good luck.
Yeah.
They didn't even know they could veto our plan if it's in our comp plan or our development. That Fish and Wildlife is like, no, we don't have control over that. I'm like, yeah, you do.
And it's unfortunate. I mean, again, the revolving faces. Just when we had momentum with this one particular, the shrub step biologist expert, Ben is his name, who's, again, we were just getting momentum with them, gone. So now we have a guy by the name of Cole out of Olympia, and very first meeting last week, new face, and it was start all over again, and very, I don't want to say contentious, but it wasn't Ben. So starting kind of at ground zero again, but so Okay,
Thank you, Jim.
thank you.
Okay, our next meeting is Commissioner Work Session. You guys have any topics you want to discuss or work on?
Yes. I'm curious, I brought it up in the, thank you, Jim, and, roundabout, nothing roundabout, but, our meeting. Is there a possibility of, out of the 133 account, that's the SIP, we can pay wages out of that, I believe, if we were to set aside maybe $2,000 to help? I just feel like the county is still, we do have the sister city relationship with Kamaki City and Toyoyama. If we helped out a little bit, it would just be minimal. We should have gotten her budget. And like I said, I can't remember if she needed 4,000, she was short 4,000, if it was 2,000. Kamaki is paying for part of it. The school district will be. And I think it's use of the van usage for driving them around.
I wouldn't have a problem.
But like I said, as long as we have the youth coming over and the teachers the teachers are staying with the kids, it's one group. It's when we get a second group that they get separated. It's be a little,
Yeah, I wouldn't have a
difficult.
problem.
it's random. Well, I guess I think we should, since, we signed that sister city. Rob,
That's two. I don't agree. I don't like the program, so.
what if you like the program?
It's because of just how it's gone the last few years. It just seems so odd to me, and I know the port is having issues now with one of the commissioners not liking who they have, so if you guys are both in favor, I would just do it. That's 2-1.
Okay, so I'll put it on the consent agenda. Kevin, you're okay with 2,000?
I mean, I don't know anything about the program, but I think if they're coming for a reason and we support it, then we should support it.
Then you would say, what's the reason? I mean, that's what I have been
Economic growth,
asking.
yeah,
Economic growth and what though?
When the MRJ pulled
When
out.
the MRJ 10 years ago, yes,
I
but
think it was 10 years ago. Was it 10 years ago?
not, I'm just saying present, I don't see the benefit.
So where are they coming from?
Kamaki City and, this group would be Kamaki City,
And where's that from? Where are they?
Japan. They are the ones, okay, one of them made the MRJ and one, I think Toyoyama had the airport. Kamaki City was the one that basically had the factory there for the MRJ. So that's how the two, and it was with the port. Well, we can wait until tomorrow and visit with the port about this for a minute.
Why don't we do that, and then we can get their intake on it.
I'm good either way, I just, like I said, I don't see the benefit to use county tax funds for it, so that's just me, and I haven't, so I don't see necessarily changing unless there's a direct tie to economic growth through it, and I have not ever heard one other than MRJ, and MRJ doesn't exist, so.
Right.
Okay, well, we can ask the port. They're the ones who started it.
Before we make that decision.
Who do we have, Barb, who do we have online, or Caitlin? Do we have any callers?
Just carry.
Yes, just Carrie.
So do you want to talk about executive session and transition?
Yeah, we can go in executive. How long?
10, 15 minutes, 10 minutes.
We will go into executive session for 15 minutes, beginning at 9:05 a.m., coming out at 9:20 a.m. for job applicant / evaluation, RCW 42.30.1101G.
I get locked out of this computer.
Do you want to extend or?
No, I think we're good. Is there
I'm
anything-
good, I don't have anything.
We're out of executive session, no decisions were made, and we will go into recess until 9:30.
So we come back.
Good morning, it is 9:30, and we are here for our clerk of the board update.
Good morning.
Howdy.
Let's see, where are we this morning? So pending decision spreadsheet. I know we were talking about moving that to a different meeting, but we haven't yet. Would you like to review it?
Yeah, I'll run through it real quick. I don't think there's any
Nothing changed in quite some
real
time.
updates. No. Okay, the first one, coordinate entry, 5-year plan. Normally I'd wait until roundtable, but last week we had a service provider meeting and a task force, homeless housing task force meeting. And City of Moses Lake staff was here too. And we kind of went through everything, and I think the recommendation is ultimately going to come to us to use admin funds and bring in a person to manage coordinated entry for the county. But also there's a software that they want to, they're going to show us. Hope Source uses it in Kittitas County, which obviously Kittitas is smaller than Grant, and it's working pretty well. It allows all coordinated entry service providers to access the same client database, so they know what people got, what people need. It'll just work better than now. They would like the county to be the host of that. That way, if something was to happen or housing authority gets out of homeless, they can take it over. So that's kind of coming up while also working on the plan. Everybody's working together well. I think it's gonna be good. So afraid of dentistry, don't know. Travel policy, is that one done yet?
I haven't seen if 1200's on the website yet.
It's
I
only
will
been a couple
check that.
years since it was done.
I will check that. I know 1600 is up, but I'm not sure 1200 is up.
Bonnie Helvey, small attractive assets. CFO review that since that was July.
Last time I checked, she was still trying to work on it.
It's only 7 months. ADA access to museum, that's only if we're to sell property or have a grant. You know, they could always apply for LTAC money too for stuff like that, but
The 1200 policy is not on the county website yet.
Thank you.
can we find out what needs done on that in order to put it on there?
Yep, I will reach out
Because
to
if it's
HR.
nothing, then we'll just get it posted. Kind of getting ridiculous on some of that stuff. Safety committee plan, risk coordinator once hired, that's been done. Museum property, short plat.
It's been done. Do we need to mark that off the list then?
No, it hasn't been done.
Oh, okay.
Risk coordinator has been done.
Oh, gotcha.
So-
Okay.
And then museum property sale, I don't think, we probably could take that off.
That's the one that John from the museum called last week wanting to know who the,
Oh, did he
Person
call
was-
again?
no, not
Oh.
since then.
Oh, okay.
Wanted to know who he needed to talk to about that.
But they don't own the property. That's
Yeah,
just to
'cause-
see if they're,
Danny told John about what was going on and that John should be in coordination with the county. And so he was reaching out per Danny's suggestion.
okay. Well, that's all. Any questions on that?
Yeah, so where are we at with the short plat for the museum property?
Do we want to do it? That's where we're at, basically.
Gotcha.
And then-
What would be the purpose of it?
To sell off a piece of that parking lot not used to the church next door. But it would go to public bid, so.
Benefit to the public, or what's the benefit?
The benefit would be the church would have opportunity to buy the land for more parking or new buildings or playground or whatever.
If we have to put it out to bid, somebody else could come along and
Yep.
pay more for it.
Absolutely.
But we'd have to
But that's the only way we can do it.
use staff time and stuff to shortcut it and money.
And cost.
Yeah, so.
So
I haven't heard from the church again, but Danny was kind of the head on that one. So I would just kind of leave it on there and wait and see if anybody gets back to us.
Okay. Next, new incidents claims received. I have not received any new ones since the last time. Boards and committees update, Miss Caitlin.
Yes, there is, the current use board, everybody is expired. I've reached out to Missy a couple of times and have not heard anything back. She also has not given me anybody else to contact about that, so I will reach out a third time this week. There is a vacancy on the housing authority. They're supposed to be getting back to me here in the next couple of weeks. From what I gather, it's a pretty sudden vacancy. Mosquito Control District 3 will have some appointments coming up. The Homeless Housing Task Force, Teresa Atkinson reached out to me and she said that the health board will still be part of the task force, but to have, oh no, I'm so sorry. I forgot her name. Hang on one second. Mariah De Leon will be, they're recommending her for the task force as the health board or health district representative.
Except the task force board, because we've had some people not attending, so we're going to make some changes. That was one of them.
And then there will be in March, but it's starting this month. The cities and towns representative for the Left One Disability Board, Valley, her term is expiring, and according to the RCW, we have to do an election for that. So I'm sending out the notices today for just a call for nominations if one of the cities or towns wants to nominate somebody for this election. Valley has agreed to serve another term, so her name will be on the ballot, but then we'll go from there. They'll have until February 14th to send any names of anybody that they would like to have listed. And then the citizen at large position is expiring on the left board also at the end of February. And that is one that is typically advertised, whether or not the person would like to be reappointed. That one is typically advertised. So if the commissioners are okay with it, I will put out a press release if you guys are fine. I know there's been discussion about how you would like positions to be advertised, but are you guys on board with me sending out that press release?
Yeah.
I would agree.
Okay, cool. I will get that sent out today too then. And then I had a little note to follow up about LTAC reappointments. Would you guys like to discuss further how you want to proceed with that? Or did you want a little more time to think about it?
What's the question on
It's
Delta?
everybody on LTAC except for Rob, their terms are expired. And so the last time this happened, it was just one like sweeping thing on consent where everybody was reappointed all at once. So the question is, would you guys like to advertise? Do you want me to reach out to LTAC and see if they're interested in serving? Or we can advertise and I can reach out to them saying, if you'd like to serve again, please fill out an application.
I would agree with that.
Caitlin, is anybody on tourism on the LTAC, tourism member?
No,
They're a recipient, correct?
they are recipients, but nobody on tourism is serving on LTAC currently. They have in the past.
What was that, Caitlin?
They have in the past. There has been a tourism member serving on LTAC, but they do.
Multiple, but we tried to not have that.
I think it'd be nice to have at least one tourism.
And apply,
Okay.
but that would be then you'd be changing it. So that's what this whole conversation is about. Same one I brought up a month ago, is if we want to do that, recruit them or just make them apply. That way, if a tourism member doesn't apply, then it's not our deal, so.
So the direction is to,
Have them reapply.
did you get that, Caitlin?
Yes,
Ask
do
him
you,
to reapply? Okay.
yes, do you want me to send out a press release for that one also?
Yes,
I
please.
think so.
That is all that I had for boards and committees.
Thank you, Caitlin. Okay, review of upcoming hearings. We don't have any hearings this week. Review of this week's meetings. Do you have any questions about your agenda this week?
No, this your green sheet's got some weird things on it.
It does.
Yeah, like it says 9:30 to 10:25 when the white agenda says 9:30 to 9:55 for you, and then there's a 10:30 to 11:25 budget and finance, but a 10:30 to 10:45 Tyler Tech.
The Tyler Tech update is supposed to be happening during the budget and finance update.
Any of it?
It was to remind Michelle that she had to come
Yeah, it's
to the
just listed
meeting.
weird was all.
Yeah. And then mine is, oh, mine's only a half an hour, but it's an hour on the calendar.
Right.
I see what you're saying. I think that happened last week as well. We'll get that corrected. Okay. Was there any other questions that you had? Your Gallup presentation is over in the EOC.
Over here in the
Yes.
sheriff's office
Yes.
tomorrow.
And you have a department head review with HR tomorrow. So hopefully that person has sent you their information.
Who would that be coming from?
Tom. So if they haven't, let me know and I can reach out to him. Because it doesn't come to staff, it goes directly to the board. Okay, if you don't have any other questions on that. The lean project, laserfish licenses. So after meeting with tech services last week, we discovered that not every department has 2 licenses to move forward with our laserfish project. I left the invoice upstairs. So the request will be eventually, because there's like 5 departments that do not have full laserfish licenses or participant. So we need to get those. And so those departments will have to pay. The invoice total is $2,000 to be
Per
But-
person.
per,
license.
that's within, divided by 5, between 5 different departments. So it's a lot less. So that will be necessary for us to move forward because each office and department has to have 2 licenses. The main person who'll be submitting agenda requests and then the backup in case something happens. So just want to let you know, we will be adding that to your agenda coming up for approval. And then once these initial licenses are approved, then TS sucks them up under their umbrella and then they pay for that after the time. So we're really close to getting this ready to be moving forward, so. Monday luncheon is next week. Do you have any thoughts on what you would like to discuss at the luncheon? The Monday luncheon is all the electeds and department heads get together once a quarter to kind of like have a lunch training or discussion. So that's, February is the first one for this year,
What day is it?
Monday. So it'll be the first Monday quarterly of the middle month. So February, May, August, I think that's the way it goes. So would you like to give Caitlin and I some ideas for the agenda?
Well, depending on what the board thinks of this, that's
Yeah,
probably
that
gonna
could be
be
it.
a
Okay,
piece of the agenda.
okay.
And what day is it on?
Monday, this coming Monday.
I don't know if we'll have any other.
15 minutes.
Was something that we need to educate our elected officials department that's on, and I can't remember what.
We have a risk coordinator starting.
Will our risk coordinator be here on Monday?
No. February. I don't remember.
The
9th or
reschedule.
something.
So one was selected and they accepted?
Yes, Blair.
Looking at the calendar, it reminded me. Okay, that big calendar's gone, so that's, would you like another calendar like that in the hearing room? Like that one right there. Did you not, you want?
I actually did like this one, and then payroll put the big one down here, and then they had the dates where payroll starts and ends, so it's kind of handy.
Would you like that calendar back?
I would. I don't know if I'm the only one that looked at it.
Can't hurt.
It was handy.
Especially if it's big enough to read without your glasses.
Not from here.
Okay. Before we get moving on to that, I received an email from the Veterans Advisory Board. Jerry Gingrich is the chair. Tony was CC'd in on it. They're following up on the discussion about the VVA office in Moses Lake. They're asking that the commissioners hold off signing the VVA contract, which you had stated that you would. When I seen this, the question that I had was, they've already signed it. It's been reviewed by legal, so I am just holding it. But I'll need to let them know that the board is holding it until more discussion is held. So I don't know if Jerry's even suggesting that the keys of the Wheeler office be returned, potentially be rekeyed. 'Cause I don't know, I've never been in those offices. I don't know what's ours, what's
So it sounded like they
theirs.
have a new, or they don't, the person that was, we had two people.
Yeah, one left.
One retired, one is no longer. So,
There's
but
no
our
one in there
contract is not with
now,
those two employees. It's actually with
the VVA.
the VVA.
So your Veterans Advisory Board is asking to hold off so that they could look into what suggestions they might feel would serve the county better in that spot, other than the VVA.
Do they work with it? It sounds like the veterans and the VVA, do they work together? Kind of, they should be, they don't.
I don't believe so. I think the VVA, yeah, I would have to have one of them here to explain that. But the VVA sounds like they want to put another person in there if they can find one.
Yeah,
But
because it's set up for veterans to go into that office. Currently, what do we have? The one down on Ivy Street where they can go? So is it necessary to have two?
Well, it's a
Or is it
different
simply-
organization.
that's what the Veterans Advisory Board wants to see about looking into.
Maybe the VVA we need to pair them with.
That might work. Have them talk to each other.
I mean, just visiting down there, I think they're doing pretty good work for the veterans. Why would we have two? Why don't we just send them all to one?
Well, I think there's different, Vietnam vet, there's different funding sources.
Yeah, they're
Kind of their
completely
whole-
separate
so
than
they are
ours.
complete separate.
Yeah, they're not, it's not a county. But I don't know if, there has been some contention between the VDA and our veterans. So I don't know if they would, maybe with new personalities, new employees, they would work along better, but
I will say I stopped in there to talk to somebody and the person that was there wasn't very, very friendly, wasn't very cooperative, or didn't act like he wanted to help anybody. So I think if you had somebody else in there that would help, our veterans need help, all the help they can get.
Why did you bring up rekeying when the decision hasn't been made?
Jerry brought up rekey.
But why bring up rekeying if a decision hasn't been made?
So that they don't go in there and potentially take stuff, that's the
Yeah, that was my
counties, I
guess, is
believe.
just for security reasons, I mean, anytime a tenant leaves my units, I change the locks. There's nobody there.
But how much of their equipment is there?
I have no idea.
And they're
I think
under
it's the
contract
WSU.
still.
I think it's, yeah, with the WSU stuff. Have access to, but I feel that the VDA probably took the key.
I don't know if their contract is still going.
So do they have keys to the front door
They must have
to
something.
access the building? I would say
There's no one in there right now?
Not according to the VVA, but I don't know for personal
That's the
knowledge.
only thing I'd want to make sure is that they don't have someone there. Then I don't have an issue with the rekey, but if they're computers or anything like that.
Do they have keys or do they have the badges?
Keys.
Do-
That building's
I think
keys.
if nobody's there, we rekey it, and if they need to get in there, they're gonna have to go through the proper channels to get in, or have somebody there.
But we don't have a contract with them, correct? So,
It
As of
expired the
January.
31st.
So,
and they'll be calling if they
yeah,
need
if
to
they had
have
stuff
that
in there.
space. But there was some really bad publicity 10 or 15 years ago, probably 10, when we didn't renew it. So it was, I'm kind of in favor of working with them if they want to get somebody in there.
Oh, I would agree, I just think being proactive as far as making sure that one of those individuals don't get back in the office and take things.
Because as far as I know, the individual who was suspended for doing it illegally still has keys.
I think for us,
They should rekey
We
it.
should
So if they
rekey
still
the
have
front
keys,
door.
rekey.
Okay.
at least the doors to the outside.
So we can talk to Tom about that and he'll need to work with Andy.
Yeah, it'd be good to know how many people access that. And if the key's the whole building.
Well, typically they have a master key or they can just swap out the lock.
Yeah, I'm just curious how many are, how many keys are you gonna have to swap out? Like 50 people or,
Right.
8 people? I don't know if all district court has them. I don't know if they use different keys on that side of the building.
If it's just the front door that the BVA accesses, then that's the only door we need to change the locks on.
That's Tom, he takes care of all, Tom and Kevin.
I'll reach out to Kevin. Okay, Monday luncheon, potentially this. So then I guess let's move into this. It's kind of away from you guys. Rob, do you want to take the lead on this? I don't know where I can put this. Yeah, right here. I did not fix the brake thing.
Yeah, it'll take some stuff still. Okay, so we were trying to figure out better ways of managing our time during the weeks. and a better way to build relationships with our reports and with our elected officials. I don't know how you guys do, but sometimes maybe you'll see an elected in a meeting for an update maybe 2 times in a year. So we start off with the 8:15 to 8:45 central services meeting. So basically extending that 15 minutes. Then we don't have a monthly meeting anymore with Tom, unless he has a topic in which then we would move it into a special meeting Tuesday time. Because we'll have about 2 hours, 3 hours on Tuesday. Haven't really figured out the best way to get that laid out yet, but still working on it. Then we'd still do the BOCC update after development services. Barb's update would go to 15 minutes. And then she could go the full 30, but what I would like to see would be every week we rotate veterans, public records, grants, mailroom. That way we have those staff coming in presenting to us so we know who they are. And then each week doing an accounting update. I feel like we're pretty detached from accounting. It'd be nice to get to see her weekly and kind of have an update and be able to follow up. You know, reviewing policy since July is kind of wild, so being able to like follow up on things. So if we're going to do that, the idea was we should just do a 15-minute with everyone. That way each week we get to see everybody, we get to talk to them, we get to see what's going on, what's wrong, what they need help with, what they don't need help with, what we need from them. We can kind of then create a follow-up process so that we can hold them accountable to somewhat, knowing, okay, last week you said you were doing the same thing. 2 months ago you told me you were doing the same thing. It's just kind of a way to build a better report. So it hits assessor, auditor, fairgrounds. Then once we do have the risk coordinators in there, we'll have a BOCC executive session at the midway point of the day at 11:30, kind of to review or discuss anything through here. So that would be just kind of a follow-up. If we don't have anything, then we can obviously extend lunch, but I think after you run through those meetings, we'll have things to talk about. Then we're changing PMRT to full BOCC, probably a half an hour. So I just think that's important because PMRT has kind of become where you can just get additional info more about the pay structure and stuff than we do in HR. So just a way for everyone to be involved, and it's not just predicated on me being available then. And we're able to remove it off the lunch hour, which is what everybody wants to have happen. Barb added coroner. I don't know if that, I'm still not sold on having a coroner update every week. Just because it's like he needs to, you know, he's working.
You could Zoom if needed to. That's what Kirk and I were talking about.
Or you could send us an email.
Or you could send one of his other staff as well.
Yeah, so that's a big thing on this. So an issue that we have all the time is, oh, I'm gonna cancel my meeting because I'm not available. Like I would like, if they're 15-minute updates, I don't care if you're not available, send your number 2, your number 3, your number 4. Like let us see your other staff people. So say like Susie wasn't available, then, you know, send someone else, send one of your leaders, send your accountant, let us know how something else is going. It's only 15 minutes, so it's not like it's a lot of pressure. Plus you get to see more people. But Cindy, I know you haven't liked how some days all of a sudden I'll have a 3-hour gap in the middle. Or because somebody cancels and then it's lunch and then the next one cancels and now it's like, why did we just sat here all day?
Well, I think we can usually pick them out. It's always the holiday weekend
Yeah.
where everybody just takes that
But-
longer weekend.
So the idea is to get it going to where the reporting is happening more, we're seeing them more. And if you're not gonna make it, then send a staff member for your update and have them update on what they're doing.
So Robert, you thinking keep this schedule the same every week?
Yeah.
So then there would be no excuse.
Yeah, that's the goal.
So
So,
you could probably shrink that down then from 3 district court is twice.
yeah, there's
Oh, I
some
guess it-
changes
Okay.
that we'll
I
make,
doesn't impact
and then we're
it.
gonna add some breaks. You know, there's a break up here, because after you do 2 hours of just bam, 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 probably take a break, and then you'll have lunch. And then I'll probably try to find just like a break period in here. And we'll adjust this a little bit. Like this has us finishing at 4:30. The goal is to finish at 4 or 15. That way, if you did have stuff you needed to do here, you have time to actually do it. And I was thinking this morning, Barb, I thought we could do even 8:30, just keeping the time the same, because we do have extra time in here. So unless you don't want to see us ever in the morning, you know, so I was looking at that. And then we will have legislative update for a while, do the VOC consent
So did we
agenda.
have one today? It wasn't on my calendar.
No, it's tomorrow,
Okay,
8:15.
okay.
So Tuesday now. So we do legislative update, then we do VOCC consent review, so that's where we can just go through the folder together. We have 30 minutes to do that. Then have a weekly sheriff's office, jail, emergency management update. I feel like we're way disconnected from kind of what's going on some things in there, and it would be nice to get them, you know, get them coming more. And as they leave this campus, I think it's going to be really important to get that going before they leave. Then doing a facilities maintenance, having Kevin do that update to show us stuff, having a TS update. And Tom has seen this, he didn't melt down to me. Doesn't mean he won't, but just kind of getting others involved in reporting to us so that we can keep things moving. And then we have this pretty big gap here that we're gonna work on, Barb.
Yeah.
Because we might just change some of these.
Just move some of those.
Yeah, but see, HR wanted after lunch, our 2 p.m. weekly meeting, and then Public Works, they wanted 3 p.m., right?
No, we just put them there. They just said a Tuesday meeting versus a Monday.
So we can move Public Works up. So we could change some of these, moving them up. But kind of just the idea and the structure of what I've been working on with Kirk and with Barb, but probably just with Barb now. So if there's something that you want to see added, adjusted, whether it's a 9 a.m. meeting start times, you have an hour here, or if it's an hour at the end of the day here, or whatever. But the idea is just to get the updates so that we know what's going on. We do bring in a county administrator. We still do these updates. You still know what's going on. You know where we fit, where we can help. And then it just gets the meetings done and over with quicker was kind of the plan
I don't see
originally.
the treasurer on there anywhere.
Yeah, he's right here.
I know, I just feel like later in the day, I just struggle with later, so if we could move
Yeah, we have
something in the
that 2
afternoon,
hours
in the
there.
2 hours, because I just feel like I'm more.
So Barb, maybe what we do is we try to get HR and Public Works both moved up into that 10-11 slot. And then depending, we could do VOCC meeting time, can that be adjusted?
We'd have to change our county code, so it could, we just have to change the ordinance.
Just curious, we could move it to a 1 p.m. And then if there were special requested meetings or extensions of these meetings, then we could just do like 1 p.m. VOCC meeting, 2 p.m. hearings, and then 3 to 5 as
I like that.
scheduled
I really like that.
additional. And that way, if there is no hearing, you just can cut it.
Change the ordinance to make your time 1 p.m. instead of 2.
Yeah. And then if all of those cut and there's no updates after 2 p.m., then we can do a tour or whatever, walk around the courthouse, work with you, whatever there is. Just creates extra time. Because you're also going to essentially in the future have that additional position managing a lot of those things also. Any updates, Kevin?
I think it's great. I mean, it's nice to have everybody come in, even if it's for 15 minutes, at least we get to meet them and talk to them.
Well, something I hated, honestly, when I was new, was it was like you come in and maybe I saw, I don't know, Kim Allen, 5 times the first year. Like, so you don't really build a report or know what's even going on in that office for 3 years. So I feel like this is gonna speed that up into that first year. You should have as much knowledge as I had in too.
So what time are
That's
you,
nice to be able to see.
time would you like to start then? Would you like to start at 8:30?
Well,
Does Tom
let's
need
work
the-
on this. We'll work on this.
Okay, we'll do it
We'll
later.
look at the
Okay.
times, yeah, because we're gonna get a script, let's just do it on Excel.
Okay.
And then fill it in, and if we can do a break at 2 hours, at least to go to the bathroom. Barb, is there anything you would like different on there?
No, I was just gonna bring over this over here so everyone can see the agenda. Because I like even Jim said this morning, he's like, I don't know what your expectation is from me.
Well, Jim, he talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But conversation I had with Jim was, and with Andy Booth, is when they come to their meetings, is maybe having a special meeting about what the commissioners would like to see. You know, like the shrub step issue, I think if they would have asked what we wanted, we wouldn't have gotten ourselves in a 6-to-1 situation. You know, so
Yeah.
that was kind of where he was coming from, was, you know, tell me when you want something, or if you want to discuss something.
Well, I think for me, anything that affects the entire county, I wanna know about it.
Mhm.
If it's that important, we should know about it. I don't care for what department. I think it's important. So at least we have an idea of what's going on.
So we're trying to build an agenda template, and this is really rough, but it's because people always say, I don't know what to talk about, I don't have anything, I don't, you know. So we're trying to kind of give some ideas, like bring something in here. And then the big thing, if you can't attend, send someone else. Because, I mean, if we're sitting in here all day, at least send your clerk or, your front person.
Well, yeah, and we can get different perspectives from different people.
Yeah.
Just 'cause one person doesn't have anything, maybe somebody else does.
So am I understanding then probably this will not roll out for next week? Do we want to
No, that-
talk about it for the Monday luncheon to let everyone know the thoughts? Get
Oh
it
yeah, 'cause
all-
next week's February. Ugh.
Yeah, Rick.
I can get the spreadsheet ready and then we can present it. to
Just
them.
anxiety, just think that April's coming. Yeah, maybe the week after, the second week,
After rolling it out to everyone.
which is tough, because then when I leave, like, next week. But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Next week would be ideal to roll it out on Monday, but we really need to get it done today then. So that you can send it out and get them scheduled. Like I said, if they're not available, like Susie, I kind of talked to Susie about this when she was here for the homeless meeting. And she called Barb before I was even upstairs, so I just told her, I was like, hey, it's only 15 minutes, zoom in, have someone
Send
else
somebody else,
fill in
send
for
them
you.
Well, if you would like, we can cancel, stop all the reoccurring meetings, make it effective.
But we need to get this change done then.
Yes, so you and I will
Quickly.
have to meet to talk about that.
So we can, to change it, just take it, do you have to advertise or it just takes a week? We can put it on as a
It's
walk-on.
just your agenda. No, it's just
Just changing
changing
your
your
agenda.
agenda. So there's nothing that needs to be done. But the 2 PM meeting
The
date,
2
yes,
o'clock.
that's an ordinance. We'll
So
have
we
to
have
have
to
a public
advertise.
hearing for that.
Okay.
That one will have to take a while.
So do you want to implement before or after we change the ordinance?
I think we could do it before and then.
Then
once
just
the ordinance is
adjust it.
changed, we
Yeah.
adjust it.
Okay, I'm good with that part.
Let HR and Public Works know that
Yeah.
things will be kind of changed. Okay.
And then we'll work on this, and then the times, just to make the times make sense, keep it together rather than separated. I don't like the big long walls in the middle. It's not long enough to go anywhere. You can't go on a tour and then, or go look at something.
Do you have time today on your schedule to meet with me?
Yeah, 3:30.
Okay.
You guys want to see anything different, Cindy? Is there something you want to
No, I
add
think
or take
I
in?
think just condensing and I really like it.
Working on condensing.
And organized. Like Kittitas County, we were talking, they have it, but they don't have I mean, everybody just shows up on Monday morning and then like, this way it's organized, so.
Yeah, if it's the same every week.
But I do worry about the coroner, because you guys, you usually don't hear from, you can ask him maybe once a month on the coroner. We may have some that, so the coroner would be maybe once a month or every quarter.
Yeah, we
We
thought
have a
about putting him in
conservation
that
district.
spot Shane Heston was in
Okay, so we have
for
that
a
one.
monthly rotation.
We have the coroner, conservation district, we have some that we will meet quarterly with.
That's
not
true,
really.
Barb. We didn't talk about conservation.
We didn't talk about any other department that's outside of Grant County.
But we have that
Yeah.
Tuesday time too. And then it looks like we have maybe 30 minutes more
Oh, and
Monday
you were still talking about making it Wednesday as well. That Wednesday is
for
open.
special meetings.
Yeah, if they have something they want to bring to us, we can do it Tuesday afternoon. Wednesday.
I like it.
Anything else?
Not from me.
Nothing from you?
Nope.
Okay. We'll go into recess until budget and finance update at 10:30. Good morning, it is 10:30 and we are here for a budget finance update and finance committee meeting. Who's going to start off?
Hey, what are taping on this?
What?
Who could put tape on it?
Kevin did it.
But go to-
Go ahead.
like, okay, now I'm back to the
Go ahead, Daryl.
function now.
All right, we'll start with the finance committee. We have December minutes that we need to approve. We need to look at it. First. And
not.
that's not,
I think it is.
okay.
Welcome to Cora, I haven't seen you.
Hi. It's a pretty necklace.
Isn't that great? Super classy.
It's a pretty expensive necklace.
It's a very expensive necklace.
Probably the most expensive one she has.
Yeah, it is. It is, I'm sure.
So if I could take a quick look at your minute.
Or are we doing the finance, is this one we did finance committee?
Okay, and then the official representative last year. Was that Danny?
Cindy.
It was me.
Okay, so she needs a copy.
Well, I'm not on it anymore.
Right, but this is the minutes for December.
Oh, okay.
I only brought that one.
Okay.
You want me to approve the
Who is
December
that?
minutes? Was I even here?
Okay.
Yes, you will. You can sign this on. You can read it and sign it.
Hi, Gina.
Good morning.
Good.
So I moved, pretty basic of what we talk about in this meeting. But with the attachments of the finance committee detail, I move that we approve the minutes for December 30th. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And it's signed. Okay.
Can I have a copy?
Okay. Next thing is current interest rate. State pool has dropped with the rate cuts. Not as much, but right now we're at 4.43 the daily rate and 4.46 for the month. I tried to do an estimate of the state pool, but I think it's going to be 165,000 and not 175,000. So that we end the month with. Yeah, $1 million. I'll always say that wrong. Now, we made a couple purchases in the month with the rates dropping down. Of course, right now, these same items are about $470 or less for the same things that I bought earlier this month. And so we bought items for 5% and 4.9%. So that was I picked a good time to add those to the portfolio. That means we have 354 million and things outside the pool. And if we have 160, that means we're still over 500, about $510 million total county portfolio. Okay. Now into revenue detail for January. County current expense wise, we're slightly less than last year. Countywide, which means the cities, we had a big drop. So there's a big drop in the cities that caused these other numbers that are countywide numbers versus what current expense gets. So, you know, your 1/10, your public safety, all those end of the year, starting the year, much less than what happened. So I'm not sure what happened in November of 2023. That was way better year than November of 2024 for the cities. Their activity is a lot less in November. So law and justice monies came in, start of the year. Gosh, it looks like we may actually meet the budget I set for it, finally, of over $1.2 million. We got over almost $301,000. So that's up compared to last year. Tourism was up compared to last year for the first month. So there's a lot of things going on in November. In regards to final year 2024 on major revenues, the property taxes actually ended up being, and I did solve the thing for Danny regarding your over and shorts being consistent and logical. Too bad he's not here to see me actually finally fix it. But you can see we were over $3.2 million short on the property tax budget revenue, but over in all these other categories except for real estate excise tax, which we were only under $26,000 from what we budgeted. So I feel really good of that because that's the thing you have practically no control of figuring out, of guessing on.
Yeah.
So I had a very good guess for that revenues for last year. And now we're starting, and so now we'll see how this year starts. But we're seeing some good sales. In actuality, it's the last time we met, in talking to Melissa, what kind of value increase, we were pretty much told that we didn't have much of a value increase at all going in for this year. Well, the actual numbers is $1 billion more than what she was saying. So you have your $342 million of new construction. And if you have 1.3, that means we're almost $1 million of revaluation increases. But it doesn't look like there's much of an increase in the LTIF area, which goes to the next problem, is I can't get responses from her on what's going on, because in talking Clark County, the software that we paid for wasn't used for the LTIF, which actually does all the work. It makes it easy. But supposedly she decided to do a worksheet, Excel worksheet, that she's not provided to me, that Clark County says should have been completed before the levy certifications. So right now I'm in a stuck position, not knowing how to get information out of her when requested. And then what I'm worried about is that she may not haven't even completed it yet, but still went forward with the levy certifications. So I don't know. So that's about it, because this TIF, because we need to be communicating. One of the things that TIF did was it took money away from current expense, mental health, veterans, the port, a little bit of fire district for the persons that are out in the county, from the city, and joint library, the state and the schools and the Samaritan's voted bond are protected. Samaritan's general fund is not. But right now, they haven't been told what the impact is. And that's usually where I get the spreadsheet. And it's usually me that has to do the communications, even though it's supposed to come from the assessor. So I can't communicate with them. I did give the Port District last week a list of the parcels for them to compare. Also gave them a big spreadsheet so they can grab values. to make a comparison of the values set in 24 compared to these values for 25, so they can do all that work to figure out the numbers that they've been wanting for a while. So I provided all those. I found ways to provide those. But so right now we have a levy, but we don't know how much of our levy is actually going to be moved to the TIF, which makes it hard to actually provide receivables or anything. All right. Right now, we'll see. I saw that interest rates dropped even more. And we're at actually, while the 10 years at 463, it's down to 454 today. So it made a big drop over the weekend. So we'll see what happens on interest rates. Now, Jim Nelson sent he did send an update for you to look at. So we need to be thinking about those numbers. How do we achieve the additional money we need for the level of debt we are thinking about? So that'll be decisions need to happen soon on how we're going to accomplish all these things with debt for the jail and debt for the morgue. So we'll get into, I'm not sure when your next meeting with Tom is. What is it scheduled for this year, this month?
What was this morning? We meet with them every Monday morning.
Okay, but
Tomorrow. Oh, that's for the jail and morgue update tomorrow at 11 o'clock.
okay. All right, I'll see if I can do a lot of research ahead of time and see if I could talk intelligently to you with some numbers. So 11 o'clock, okay?
So you'll be here tomorrow at 11?
Yes, I'm assigned to come to those meetings. Okay, I have nothing else unless there's further questions. We're just sitting on investments. As you can see by the big section of agency securities that we have a bunch of them maturing this year. And a bunch of them are less than rates that we are what's dragging our yield on our county pool. So it'll be a great year to finally have those mature and replace them with something much, much better. So at least we have the opportunity to show our county pool rate to improve much better this year, and then most of the rest of them are next year. And then we'll be back to, and it looks like we're getting back to a normal yield curve, with the treasury yield curve, which is easier to invest in and make decisions with. So that's all I have. I show the next meeting would be, I didn't change the next meeting.
I just looked February 24th.
February 24th, okay. The one thing I didn't update on this form. February 24th, well,
You got it.
and it's a 28-day month. Okay, yeah, so state should have data. Okay. All right, if there's no other questions, we can move on to the auditor's financial reports and the health report. Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl.
Mhm.
So I've given you all the December's financial summaries. You all should have received those via email on last Friday? I think so.
Where do you think it came from, Aaron? The healthcare analysis report? Or are you talking
Both
about?
of them came from Aaron, I think.
Okay.
And so I think we're officially done and can say goodbye to 2024 as far as budgeted finance is concerned. One of the biggest things on here that you'll see is that we came under on current expense by about $6 million. And I don't have that specifically isolated, but I would bet money that it has to do with a lot of unfilled positions in the sheriff's department. Being the large cause of those savings in the current expense. I don't know if you guys want to take a few moments to look through. I don't really have anything specific I want to point out to you, except to mention that this report doesn't reflect our budget extensions. Because I didn't have those updated in GP, which is where the reports
Okay,
come
so it'd be
from.
less than that. Oh, I have a question on the the healthcare. We
Yeah.
did an increase last year to kind of slowly build that account, and it looks like we took $1 million deficit if I'm reading it correctly.
What?
Well, from what it started out in January.
Are you
I'm
talking?
looking at, I think I went all the way back to January 20.
Yeah, we should not
So we're
have.
talking about cash on hand, employee benefits fund?
Okay, no, okay, I was looking back at January. I was looking at this as a whole,
No, we should be
because it should be building.
sitting pretty in the. And we are scheduled to transfer some funds to our reserves this year, and we will probably have and we will have like a 5% increase? 5% increase on the healthcare benefits to squirrel away those monies, because they said that it's coming. We've been doing pretty good so far, but that big event, right, that thing that's gonna happen should be somewhere in our future.
So, I don't have a page.
I didn't provide that to you, is why you don't have that.
No. I was looking at the cash side of that, of her comment.
Oh,
The healthcare reserve went up 134,000 from last year. I do see that our 501 fund and fund benefits
mhm.
went down 615,000.
So when I'm looking at the 4.9 million in 2024, and then ended with 5.2, but you're showing us $600,000, so we didn't really gain on that, is that what? What are you looking at, Daryl?
Well, I'm looking at this page for county funds,
Okay,
the last page of county funds before you get into other funds in regards to cash position.
which it looks like 4 million in reserve or 5 million.
Well, yeah, the year ended at 4.65 million in the healthcare reserve fund. And then looking at 505, it went down to $615,000 in the benefits, so that,
Other funds. We are in other funds.
it'd be the page right before other funds.
You talking about a left one? Oh, wait, no.
No, talk about 505 and
Okay.
525. So you see the 615 drop, and then we have 134.8 increase. So,
I'll have to look into that to see why there's that discrepancy between, perhaps it's a payment made in December that should have been for 2025. I don't know.
I was just hoping we'd have, we were hoping to have a little bit better increase. Well, we didn't have a decrease in that.
We should have.
revenue account.
So let me look into that and I'll get back to you on what is causing that differential between the two. One thing that I'm also, excuse me, well, two things I wanted to mention before I forget. We did reach out to the state auditor's office about whether or not we would qualify by budgeting the funds to meet Daryl, what's the law?
the law to make sure we're under our cap for carryover balance.
Yes, and although they can't tell us, we would have to get a legal opinion if we wanted to have it, but their position is that it is related to unbudgeted funds. Therefore, by budgeting that money, we are essentially in compliance with the minimum fund balance.
You know why I'm looking at this packet? This is the second year in a row we have been, the commissioner's office has been significantly down in our revenue. And I have a feeling it's probably with the grants. We're usually grant reimbursement, but are we not taking our grant
The administrative fee?
admin? We're doing something wrong. Second year in a row we've been nailed.
I don't know if you've done the administrative fee transfer from the grant fund.
Because that's supposed to be paying for our. grant.
190, right? You're talking about
Yes.
the fees that pay for like carry.
Yes,
So
which we didn't do the year before as well.
Yeah, we've had 2 years in a row.
I was told that we caught it up, but let me look into it again. Because 100,000 was supposed to come from ARPA, correct? To cover 5 years of Janice's salaries.
A year, I think.
ARPA, and then also there's admin that Carrie should be taking out of each grant. there's a percentage, like up to 2% that she can take out of each grant. And this has happened twice, and we are, either we need to not recognize the revenue, or it has really skewed our office numbers, the commissioner's budget.
And is your expectation that her salaries get moved to grant admin or that grant
No, it should
admin
stay in there, but we
reimburse?
should have a revenue. I'm just saying, like, we have, our budget looks the poorest, and we're the commissioners that are over everybody else's budget, and our office looks the worst, is what I'm just saying. It's highly embarrassing.
What's the nature of it though? I mean, you're not getting reimbursed till the month after. for
Well, I
those
don't, we never
grants.
did catch up. Did we catch up for 2024? I don't think we've caught up.
Well, there's something strange here on 190. We ended the year with 192,101, which you usually always end the year with the negative. And since we always incur the expense before,
Is
and
190 the grants?
then
It's
it's almost,
reimbursable.
yes. So then, if the grant is received, the expense has been made, unless we're sending part of the money back to the grantor, whoever gave the grant to, for non-expenditure of funds. So it's either that, or a combination of that, or we haven't transferred out for the admin fee, because having a positive balance of that significance is not logical.
Could be a combination of not doing the admin fee. There should always be some balance there because because it is a reimbursable grant. And so obviously the origin of the fund would have required some sort of transfer in of money. And as it gets reimbursed, that should be still sitting there, right? So I don't know how much that should be, but it should never be negative. But as far as the salary reimbursement, I will have to look into that and see what was happening. I was pretty sure that we transferred 100,000 of ARPA specifically for administrative salaries during the 2024 year.
And that's only a part of it. There are other grants that our office is doing where we get a percentage of, so.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because this is the second year in a row. I thought we had it squared away last year.
Yeah, we need to look at that, and then the 130, 131. Kind of need to look at all of those admin fees and that. Because if the potential of adding a person to handle some of that, we're going to need to make sure the revenue is coming in to pay for them.
Okay.
Well, that's, why we did things the way we did. Carol?
Yeah, I was just looking, the 130, 131, that's the monies we communicate to you, or you get a communication of the amounts, and then you're dispersing the amounts to city, housing, and New Hope, or mental health. Okay.
But in our meetings, they've kind of requested that the county starts to host the coordinated entry, which is the program basically that directs people in need to where the services are. So if we were going to end up directing that, then we're gonna need a position for that, and we're gonna need funding for that. And so if you're pulling them out of the admin grants, then that we'd have a budget.
Okay.
So that should also impact the portion that goes to those entities who get the money that.
Minorly.
Because you're not charging anything for it, you're just.
No, our office does.
No, yeah, but your basic transfer disbursement is, that's not something we'd be thinking about charging for.
We can.
Well,
But we have a percentage of 24, because I think we said kind of like we would take this amount. We had a hearing that we found out when Janice was in there to help pay for that salary, that we couldn't do it, even though we voted on that just because some of the grants, how they're written. So I know there's a percentage that we can take. It's not getting captured.
Well, the other thing is these departments are supposed to be submitting these and initiating these transfers for their wage allocations on a monthly or quarterly basis.
And I will
to
say,
us.
maybe we need to go back and have, Carrie was not trained by the person who left. And I think there might be an ability to come back or at least make a phone call and figure out what we're doing wrong. I thought it was corrected last year, but we can't keep going on this. This is the second year that we.
I can retro it too.
But we need to correct it instead
Yeah.
of keep fixing it, because it's the second year it's happened, so.
Well, and then Carrie will need to do the documentation for us.
Yes,
So
and so we can
the
work with her.
people benefiting, not from the
Is
homeless.
Carrie, are you still on? Carrie was on this morning.
Yeah, but she's on as a guest, not a panelist.
Caitlin, can you move, hi Carrie?
Uh-huh.
Then, uh-huh.
Oh, okay, did we charge for admin last year, or, you know what?
Now can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
the admin, this is the second year in a row that we have failed to collect our admin for your grant position, basically. I think we did a correction last year, and I thought we had it resolved. Are you aware of our shortfall?
Are you talking about the ARPA grant or all of the commerce grants?
I'm talking, I think it's probably all of them.
Yeah, I think she means the commerce and CDBG grants.
Because we should have collected 157,000 and we collected 45,000. So basically it will be, I think we have some.
157,000 from ARPA or from?
It's just total, that's what our budget is. I'm just looking at our budget. So we have public records, but that's minimal.
Yeah, with the ARPA, that 500,000 that was designated for the grant admin is still sitting in the ARPA fund. It hasn't been transferred over. With the commerce grants, those ones were not done correctly last year. They were actually being billed to the subrecipients for the entire amount instead of being billed to commerce for the amount that was actually being spent on that grant. So those, I have to go back and figure out how many times Housing Authority and OIC was billed for those admin fees, and they paid the county, and there was no reimbursement done from commerce.
Okay.
Well, first thing to budget for it is unknown because you never know how many of these things are gonna happen through here. So first thing is expecting a certain dollar amount is wishful thinking. Unless you.
But we're obviously didn't get our ARPA transfer over because we would
Right.
have at least had 100,000, 145,000, which I think that's basically where our shortfall is, that ARPA transfer.
So when these people apply for their grants, should they actually, in that grant total, have a budget for admin?
They do.
Okay, so then when we disperse, if the dollars match, then we should be paying ourselves when we reimburse the entities. That wouldn't.
No, Carrie
be-
just said that's what we have been doing, but we're supposed to bill for our admin to commerce outside of the grant, or outside of
It
billing.
used to come in together. They used
Okay.
to, the reimbursement used to come in for the grant and it was like two lines.
Okay,
But now it's weird. It's
okay.
like sometimes you get an admin fee and sometimes, it's 6 months before you get another one. And I don't know if that's whoever's communicating
Okay.
with them. I don't know.
That admin amount is probably because I've had to go a year, almost 2 years back to find out how much was actually paid
Right.
to the county and to the subrecipient. Because just because the grant allows, $22,000 in admin fees doesn't mean the county is going to use up that entire $22,000. What was happening before is Janice was billing the subrecipient for the entire amount instead of sending in the A-19 to Commerce for the amounts that she was supposed to be tracking, that she spent time on those grants.
That makes sense.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a pretty good handle on it.
Yes.
Okay, and then what do we do about the transfer? So we're gonna have to transfer, we have 500,000, we leave that in ARPA and we don't do the transfers. If we didn't transfer it last year, we didn't, I don't know if we transferred,
I can do a cash transfer and get it over into the account.
we just need to fix it, so I don't wanna lose, if we don't spend it, we lose it.
Yeah, we can go ahead and transfer. I could have swore the 500,000 or at least 100,000 was transferred last year,
Okay.
so I don't understand.
I remember that.
Right? I thought we did it,
Karen, can you work with Mandy then to,
but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
thank you.
And then one last item that I have is our Mutual of Omaha department within our fund 504. 504? Mutual of Omaha 504. It's a negative fund balance of about $10,000 right now. And what had happened was last year there was an audit of the account. And I'm not sure if it was done by Mutual Omaha or if we did it internally. But they found discrepancies between what was being remitted to Mutual of Omaha, what was being taken from the employees for their short-term life disability extra benefits that they were paying for, totally voluntary for employees to contribute into this. The result of the audit was we owed Mutual of Omaha $10,000, and we paid them out of the 504 for Mutual of Omaha. However, we did not collect anything for that from the employees for several reasons. It would be very time consuming to identify, because we're talking dollars for people over a span of so many years. Some employees may not be here anymore. I don't have a great course of action to recommend, because if we just have current expense pay for it, that could be construed as gifting of public funds.
So what's your recommendation?
I will do what you guys tell me to do. We can pay for it. We can try to figure out who this money should have came from and try to
So
collect
you're talking
them.
about a couple dollars from this person, this employee, a couple. So we may spend
It just gave us an amount, didn't it?
$4,000 or $5,000 just tracking down who.
It would be very expensive just
So
to,
could we how do we do a write-off when we know that,
a bad debt write-off.
yeah,
Um,
and explain, I guess, in a
I
paragraph or
guess
two.
that's an option. We would still have to transfer some money from some fund, current expense most likely, and then just write it off as bad debt. Uncollectible.
How much is it?
It's about
But it's
$10,000.
over the course of several years.
Yes.
It's not just,
It's-
one year.
Yes. No, it's,
Wouldn't you use the health benefit account for that?
no,
I
because
don't think
that's,
we can do that.
that's restricted and collected for specific purposes.
But isn't that what this was for?
Yeah, a volunteer benefit. So these people pay $1 per paycheck to get long-term life, if something happens to them, that's insurance they're purchasing. So we don't want to use the health insurance money to
I
pay
don't
for
think we
that.
can, because I think health insurance
No.
has to be used strictly for health insurance.
So that's one element of the payroll remit fund.
Yeah, it's one element
Yeah, because the payroll remit fund has $564,000 in it.
in
But
total.
internally, as a sub-account, that one's in the negative.
Yes.
So what's the largest dollar amount for one person? What's the range? What's the top of the range?
And it's like, I don't know, I'd have to track it down.
Oh, wait, maybe I have it in here.
So somehow how the amount the incorrect amount got deducted from the. payroll.
You're looking at me.
All eyes on
Oh,
Amanda.
dear.
Did you find it yet?
Plus administrative side of trying to collect from non-employees at this point in time is, would be to me, a good possibility of bad debt. But if you have current employees, then assuming that it's been fixed and that their first paycheck for this year now is showing the deductions that are to be made, or is it something still to fix?
So that can't be right, because that's payroll date.
Did we, historical preservation, 135. We budgeted 2,000, we spent, I would spend almost $12,000 if it wasn't budgeted.
135, you said 135.
Historical preservation, yeah, page number,
Oh, right, but what's,
this is expenses. So we budgeted 2,000. Year to date was $11,675. We spent $9,600, almost $9,700 over.
this be the section I'm not looking at.
It looks like the page looks like this.
Don't go back.
So where did that?
Cindy, that was for the lean lady that came in to work with your staff. And there's a budget extension that's at the year end that Mandy said hasn't
Oh,
hit
okay,
yet.
so there's a budget extension.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Daryl, to answer your question, I don't
Thank you,
know
Barb.
if there's one person, I don't know the dollar amount per person. Like, I just have a huge list that says like, for each person, like there was an issue of $2.50 being deducted versus it should have been $2.49.5, like a rounding issue, like being out to the third place, like, and that can accumulate over time.
Yeah.
Obviously it did.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's a
so
lot of
Daryl, we
hours.
can write off this employee debt that would be more difficult and expensive to track down every, I mean, the stamps alone and contacting.
Well, no, I was suggesting that for those people who don't work here, that would be considered by debt, but if you haven't still worked here, you know, and we take them, it sounds like the way these pennies are, that we may be talking about $50 a person. And if it's extended that time period, of which if it's that, then in a way, they should go back and take that and recover that money they benefited from.
So if we spend $3,000 or $4,000, I don't know how long it's gonna take to go over. How long do you think it's gonna take?
Well, right now we're buried, so it's gonna take us a while. We're buried with all kinds of other.
Because all you
Things
have
we're
to create
doing.
some one-time thing. And then
But if like,
and then notice to all these employees that are impacted to give them a heads up.
it's gonna be a continuous thing now. Down
They've
the road
since
now,
corrected
they do
it.
But that to me is coming from when we get the list of changes and we're inputting it in as taking it as a deduction. If we're not,
Going out that third place.
we're
Aren't
not
we
given
though?
the information. Well, it comes on that sheet that we went through and uploaded for, all of the new benefits and deductions that we go through every year. On that sheet, we type in what we're given. And if we're not taking it out far enough, we could still have the same issue.
Elections, did you do a budget extension too?
They didn't have to. I mean, they were
Elections did.
going
Because it's in current
to, but
expense.
because it was in current expense
Okay.
and,
And then HR, I'm just pointing out.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
HR was
Elections
over
was
budget too.
way over.
yeah.
Were you guys aware of that?
Yes, they were originally in our publication, they are identified in our publication, HR and elections.
So, elections, 161,000, HR, 170,000. There was 15,000.
Actually, it was current expense in the publication, my bad, but they were listed in mine.
HR was over because you had 2 director salaries on that budget. Why was elections over? Overtime?
In a presidential election,
Shredding, that came into this. I think.
there was a couple though that were,
Did you increase your overtime budget this year, or we just not have that issue this year?
We shouldn't have that issue this year. I think we ended up, because, when Dan was here, we kept decreasing our budget for elections. And then I just didn't increase it enough for this last year. So we went over. But we had a recount and I mean, it was just, it was one of those years.
Yeah, he is at 299% overtime.
Yep. Tax was really fun. And now I put the overtime back to normal, and now we may be an LTIP problem for time.
They're at $80. Anything else that we need to point out here?
No, if you would like, I can try to estimate what it would take to get that sorted, at least for employees that are still in-house. And then see if there's any requirements that we would have to meet to declare bad debt in order to write off the other portion and get back to you on our next update.
So it's just Mutual of Omaha, not Aflac, or
No.
not the one I contribute.
Actually, Daryl, you're listed here as for 9,000 of it. So can you cut me a check?
If you can keep me up to date on that, because we will have to send union a notice, the unions a notice that we would be trying to.
Take money from them?
Yeah.
You're not gonna be here to spend it, right?
No, I don't need to add more revenue to my.
And that exceeded the revenue. Go to the law
Yeah.
library.
So you can see from the front page is the current expense fund increased by almost $7.8 million that we talked about in the budgeting process, which most of it was because of expenses. Revenues actually came in, if you take out the property taxes, the revenues had a good year for most of the other funds for current expense. So that best pretty much offset the property tax shortage. Also, to announce officially, I'm going to talk to individually, our levy rate for this year is less than last year, despite the amounts that was above, that we captured in budgeting levy for this year.
How does that work?
Because you have $1 billion more in value.
Is that a million to us?
Yeah, $1 billion, when you have a bunch of $1 billion more in
what's that
value.
net to us, $1 million, or what's our, are we, we at $1.16 or something like that, or is it?
Well, we're, the current expenses are down to under $1.05, then you have the other two. So,
That'd be $1 million
so the current expenses, all three are less than last year. So, which when we first thought, I was thinking we'd be breaking even or be slightly higher based on our decisions that we made. But no, with this valuation that we were not informed about, our levy rate is less. And just to give you a heads up, based on almost all the levy rates for all the entities, they're less than last year. So then with that, you only have the state school, the exception is the state school part 1 and 2 that increased 19 cents. So what you may have is levy rates that are barely changed from last year because of all the districts going down and the state going up. So that's what happened. The only entities that will not have that is Quincy with their new park this year. So people thinking that we're levying, our levies are going up, don't make the comparison. So, that's all I can add to your report.
Want to budget to
I'm sorry, what?
Said I went through the budget. We had some highlights, some overachievers with revenue high. Darrell at 299% over time. Way to keep it under 300%.
Good job, Daryl.
Did you budget accordingly for 2025?
25 is expecting a normal year, but the LTF and how it's being handled may cause a problem for us. And we're spending a lot of time with trying to get the assessment districts on their roles to be accurate and correct for the future. And so, but we get a revenue recovery. Our revenue from our assessment districts will be higher than last year, but we get recovered for our costs for our administrative fee. So if we're up, then we're getting additional revenue to cover that up.
I'm trying to figure out how our property taxes went down so much from 23 to 24.
I thought they stayed about the same.
The explanation why our total revenues that we collected for 24 were less than 23 is because the commissioners requested a certain levy process, and the levy certification form didn't meet their intentions, which cost us, well, first it was $525,000, but I found some other things, so it cost us around $600,000, less in revenue than we were intending to receive. And she said it was too late to fix it.
In the hearing, we made the motions on what we wanted to happen. The forms that we were given and signed didn't match the motion. Barb has info on that.
So our levy rate was supposed to be much higher last year. And it
So
wasn't.
I assume that's gonna be correct for this year.
Nope, there's no recovery of those monies. You just lose it, but you're able to tap it like the board did to make sure it's part of this year's levy.
So our SIP is down too.
Now, one calculation I haven't done, now that I have a new valuation. So the higher valuation means our cap of carryover is higher. And I have not done that check to see what it actually should have been. Which meant we could have held more carryover, but we're also working on, because we're the most likely the top county in the state in cash position as a percentage of the budget, that no other county has the problems, doesn't have the benefits of us having a large carryover. So the decision by the commissioners was we need to start getting that reserve down. And so there's some major things that are budgeted this year to start working on it. And that's the one thing about the auditor's issue. If our revenues were way up and didn't touch these budget monies, then we didn't accomplish the goal of being under. And so that's why I always thought it needed to be done before, is you can always have all these new revenues that come in. You can way under budget revenues and then still have the same ending balance, but you budgeted the carryover to go down. And you didn't. We've had a lot of years where the carryover balances jumped up higher and higher each year. We are, because of our diversified economy, something goes down, it gets picked up by something else. So we're doing quite well compared to the other counties in the state. But we can't somehow get that to improve our bond rating because they like big counties.
What's our rating?
I don't remember anymore.
We're not AAA?
Double
AAA
A
plus?
minus.
AAA plus, Daryl?
Nope. That's why when we have our meeting with the rating agencies, we downplay REC. We do mention it, But we talk about all the things that are coming in to replace them. And our cash position.
I think at our last meeting, he was gonna look into that, if I remember right, to try to make that better for
And
us.
plus, with these industries that didn't have a value change out there, better be a huge increase for next year.
Yeah, I agree.
What's negatively impacting our rating? Our debt load, our,
Size of county, I guess. Because our story is much better than all other counties regarding
Yeah,
what's
We
going on.
definitely are. We're very lucky.
So
And they're getting better ratings,
yes,
just because they're a larger town.
larger county or city with many other, well, especially cities. Cities have many other ways of raising revenues. County's limited, but we're just doing well for the revenues we can raise to meet our budget.
So do the other cities potentially harm our rating?
No. But we can definitely talk like there of the great things happening in cities. Well, actually, in a way, yes. But then we're not doing all this research and getting all the data on cities. We can talk about the great things going on in cities. And they usually don't, I don't think they ever follow up to see what all the negative things about the cities, as long as we're honest.
how does our rating compare with other counties in our cohort of similar size?
Well, that's not readily easy knowledge to get unless everyone puts it together. Because Jim Nelson only covers certain places and a lot of other entities like Jim Nelson have theirs. I'm not sure. Well, the thing is the way to know ratings is seeing all the debt issuances that are going on for the whole state and seeing what the ratings they have.
Has our rating gone down since we bonded for the jail?
No. We're hoping to improve it. We sure deserve an increase.
You tell them.
Well, we
That's
deserved
what I
it
tell
on-
my
we
creditors.
deserved it on the last
I
issue.
deserve more credit.
So we gotta get that done before you leave.
Yes. Yeah, we'll see how it can last the next 2 years. All right. I'm not sure I have anything more that's finance
Michelle, do you
related.
want to do an update on we have like 9 more minutes on
For Tyler,
Tyler?
we had John on site this last week and we managed to get a bunch of accounts uploaded. We got the budget entered in for 2023. We're just trying our best to just keep moving forward because we
And
have
is
to be
it
ready.
working good for you then for the
Well,
accounting portion?
So far, I mean,
I think the GL side is gonna be great.
yeah,
We're really excited
Okay.
about that portion. Hopefully, it will work well with Clemmer GL.
yeah, I think we'll know more once we get more more information loaded in it.
Mhm.
We ran into a few little things that we had to correct and then everything went through and uploaded. So, yeah, so now we're working on the whole data, because now we've got the budget in, and now I have to do the whole conversion of 2023. I have to do a year at a time, so I have to put all of 2023's information in Tyler so that we can test it and look
Okay.
at it. And then move into 24.
You're getting closer.
Doesn't feel like we're getting closer, but it's just a lot.
Mhm.
You stare at data and I'm like working at nights and on weekends, trying to get the data converted over. And he's working on the new cross-reference that we need to put in. I think once we get all of that stuff done, hopefully 24 will be easier to convert and put in. We'll see.
Let's go
It's just
live
not
still
easy.
June.
July,
July.
July.
Yeah.
Eek.
Mhm.
Be here before you know it.
I know, it's scary.
And of course, Carrie is in charge of the check reader, new TUI coming in. getting all that prepared and then getting our new Master's Touch contract, getting all these changes and all that she's working on, and Connie's working on. Well, you were, who sent
It's
it
in
down?
your, it's in your boat now.
Okay. So, no, we got a lot of new things happening this year, which means one tax statement for one parcel. Each parcel.
Not very efficient.
Yeah, good thing we're not sending out tax statements till after the levies and not give them one more thing to be mad about.
It is what it is.
Yes, it's gonna be a year of adaptation to things that this tax software required us to change. So,
It's okay.
all right,
We'll
anything
eventually
more?
get there. We're good.
Any more questions? Nothing?
All right, thank you very much.
We're going to go into recess until 1 p.m. when we're back for a roundtable. Good afternoon, it is 1 p.m. and we're here for our weekly Commissioner Roundtable meeting. Does anybody have anything they would like us to work with our lobbyists on?
That's a loaded question.
That has to do with county function or business?
Can I get back to you on that?
Yes, weekly, you'll have the opportunity.
Okay.
You guys might have seen the email from Zach where he tagged us because he had a meeting with Susie Fody, so it popped up on our calendar. Because he serves the board, he's going to include us anytime he meets with another department head or anyone else.
Rob, this is Susie. Thank you so much for making that introduction to Zach. It was a great conversation and I appreciate it.
Yes, you're welcome. Does anyone have anything on the consent agenda they'd like to discuss?
Facilities has a walk-on.
I tried to open up, do we have it? I could just look and see. There was one, a reimbursement. I think it was Big Ben. It was only $50. It was something really minor. I just wanted to verify that was correct. And every time I'd go through to look at it, my screen would roll. I think I had Danny's issue when it went.
The $250?
Oh, was that what it was? It was minor.
There is one for the only one for Big Bend is for $250.
Okay.
Did you want to look at it though?
No, I just wanted to verify. That was, just seems so minor that they submitted something that.
What's your walk-on item, Tom?
This morning, I briefed the board during my update on the BAS controller that we need to purchase. It's a walk-on for that because we expect it to be upwards of 15,000. It could be less, but it could be as high as that. So we're above the threshold, and it's a proprietary piece of equipment, so that's what we have to buy. But I wanted to get it on as a walk-on today so we could go ahead and make that purchase.
So for simplicity, item 14, 15, 16, do they need to be in different? They need different ones because it looked like it was the same SIP number, the request.
We're signing each one.
Okay, I just didn't know we listed where it was listed instead of just. K Healthcare, $945, $1345, and 11,804, and then there is a different one in the 24-05 contract, but all the others are the same.
I don't know if Carrie is here online. She had submitted them as 3 separate requests, and so I put them on there.
Look in there, there might be 3 different ones, 3 different signatures.
Carrie's gonna look and let me know for you.
What do you mean by 3 different signatures?
3 different signing portions. Is it just one like request, or are you signing the 3 different ones?
You're not signing any of the actual documents. It's just their consent requests that get signed.
So are they requesting 3 different ones, or why is it not just one bulk total?
Curious looking.
I just figured they would be in what you have right there.
Carrie is saying it's because they're in 3 different months, the same SIP, but she submitted them for 3 different month expenditures.
Okay.
Thank you, Barb.
Because Caitlin loves to type. I was more curiosity than anything on that one. Everything else looks good. I didn't have any questions on it.
Hey, what's the asphalt for? What project?
Ooh, that's for, no. The asphalt materials is for our maintenance for the whole year.
Okay.
So that, you're right, the C1 is specifically for West Shore, but this one is for, the C3 is for all of our materials. We try to order it in bulk so we can get a lower price, if you will.
Okay.
Has that price gone up for this year versus last year?
I do not know. Odds are yes, though.
Yeah.
All my costs have been going up for everything. But I do not know specifically on that one.
Commissioners, Carrie did confirm the $250 amount for Big Bend.
Okay.
That's what they submitted.
Tom, are we ever gonna change the quad to a different name, or just?
I think everybody understands what it is. I don't know if everybody understands what the quad is and everything is in policy as the quad. It would be a lot of changes to change the name. We have an internal schedule within GCTS that talks about the things that are 5 and 6 years, so we can change it if you like.
No, I was just curious.
It was kind of if I remember,
A made-up name,
it was a weird name.
quadrennial, the quadrennial.
Well, quadrennial is not a made-up name, but moving it from a 4-year cycle to a 5-year cycle was I remember what funny word everybody
Whatever
came.
5 is. Does anyone in the room have anything on consent agenda they'd like to discuss? Yes?
Yeah, for number 21, Rebecca's not here. Did you have subsequent conversation with her? Because the email that's attached isn't expressing approval, it's expressing concerns. There may have been additional, I just am unable to ask her because she's in a meeting right now.
Is this the interlocal with this
Yes,
city?
21, yeah.
That, I've got John and Andy working on that, so I actually do not know.
Okay, so maybe it should be withdrawn then if it's still in process?
I will find out.
Okay, awesome. And just a friendly reminder to everybody, if something is submitted to the board, that's a public record now. If it's on the consent agenda, it's a public record. So if you forward legal advice, then it's no longer subject to attorney-client privilege. That's been waived. That's just a friendly reminder. If you want something subject to attorney-client privilege with the prosecutor's office, don't send it to anyone out of county. Don't send it to the consent agenda, et cetera. Make sure that you separate that email out, even if it's an email. If it's on the consent agenda, it's not subject to privilege anymore. So friendly reminder. Thank you. That's all I got.
Commissioners, any questions on consent agenda?
Now I have a question on 21, so I'll make a little note.
And just, I don't know if you guys noticed, I think Dave went outside to check on status. Okay, great.
Tom, what are you calling your walk-on item? What's that?
Law and Justice Building BAS controller.
BAS?
Yeah, building automation system.
All right. Board, do you have anything for a roundtable other than district updates?
No.
Do any staff have anything for roundtable or anything they'd like to discuss? No?
The new HRCS building is out for bid, so we'll be holding bid openings February 19th.
Cool.
February 19th?
Any commissioner district updates you guys would like to report on that you did not earlier in our session?
I didn't have any different, I didn't have anything going on this week.
Well, I just got an email from the former Commissioner Michael Largent, who was the County Commissioner. He stepped down. We were both started office in 2007, so that leaves me the longest seated commissioner in the state of Washington. He just sent me a little congratulatory email, a little countdown, so I thought it. I was laughing.
No.
Like Michael.
How many years has it been?
Crazy. It's because they're both crazy.
Time flies when you're having fun, right?
Yeah.
Dave, did you get any answer?
They're telling me verbally, yes, they did get something. They're gonna forward.
Okay,
something
great.
to
No,
you.
Okay.
if they're asserting that she sent them something and I'm
Yes.
just not aware of it, then I have no issue.
But they should have included that in here. Absolutely.
Thank you, Dave, for checking.
These things
on that.
happen.
Thank you. They will be forwarding them to you.
Okay. I'm sure Rebecca would completely agree if she were here. She's just not.
Thank you.
In District 3, I did get Danny Wild from the Gorge is no longer the general manager. Has he reached out to you? Do you know who? We have a new contact out there?
Not officially yet,
Okay,
but I think they have an interim.
okay.
I don't think they've made their full-time
Final
choice yet.
decision. Okay,
But he went down to Ridgefield or whatever some other amphitheater down by Portland.
so they're just moving on, so. Greener grass. That's what they need is his expertise, so. Yeah, no, I was kind of surprised to get that because they didn't make any comment. Well, there's a new transition, kind of a transition going on at the Gorge right now, it appears from the update that they had, and the presentation.
Yeah, I'm unaware of any other than Danny leaving.
New and exciting growth.
Anything?
I don't have any. I'm good.
Tuesday, Tom, Jim, Dave, Sheriff, Moses Lake's new city manager meet and greet, 5 to 6:30 Tuesday at the Civic Center. If you guys want to go there for any of that staff, put that on your radar. Any other topics? Don't want to miss. We got 48 minutes. No? All right, then we will go into recess until 2 p.m. and we are back for Public Works update. Good afternoon. It is 2 p.m. and we're here for our Public Works update.
Good afternoon. We'd like to start off with our discussion topics. The first one will be planning and development review. That'll be from our engineer, Dave Brin.
Start with looking at our Public Works website. Do you have to do something?
Rob, can you pull up their website or how do you?
Yeah, you're plugged in.
HDMI.
And you got it on your own.
Awesome. So on the Public Works website, we've got the kind of the four main areas: admin, road operations, engineering, solid waste, which is kind of our four divisions underneath our Department of Public Works. Underneath engineering specifically, there is private development. So up until now, there's been two separate intake tables for permits at the county. There's a certain portion of the permits that end up coming to the Public Works counter, which is in a completely separate building and miles away from planning and development services, which is right down here. Talking to all the administrators in both departments, there is agreement that maybe it's time to have a one-stop shop where we can have all the permitting, all the development review in one place. There are so many benefits to doing that. So the idea is to take the private development, which is a big section that we do. We basically, if you look in the code, Public Works / the county engineer is responsible for reviewing grading plans, storm plans, in addition, everything inside the public right of way. So this is happening right now in a separate location, and it is very difficult for Jim. In addition, there's some new laws at the state level that are coming down that basically want to increase the speed of delivery for permits. And it's going to be really hard when we have two different sites. Often we'll have people coming to our front counter, and they're sometimes very angry because 2 weeks ago, they handed in what they thought was all the permits they needed to at the planning front counter. And now they find out that they had to hand something else in at Public Works. Yes?
Yeah, I'm trying to follow along because
Oh, it's okay.
I know, so where did you click to get to?
Let's
Engineering?
Oh, it's under engineering, okay. Okay,
The idea is to take.
because every now and then we do get a call and I
You
just want to be able
do.
to follow it
And
here. Okay, thank you.
I'm actually hoping that this will reduce the number of calls that you get, because and you see them where they're frustrated because they have two separate submittals, and I would be frustrated as well because and often when they submit at planning / building services, they don't know that there's another level that they have to do, and they just find out later on that, hey, how come Public Works hasn't signed off on our permit, our building permit? Oh, well, you should have also done an approach permit. We need to make sure that you have access. And then even worse, there's often issues with access. They have a parcel that they don't have legal access to. And they've already expanded so much on this property, and they've purchased it, and they're finding out at the very end they're about ready to build. That's aggravating. So if we have it at one site, there's some advantages that we can provide. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't have the health department yet, but maybe sometime in the future, we can have intake for all at one location. That would be a fantastic goal. This would get two of those three together. If
Well, we
do this.
do have a new commissioner on, so maybe one-stop shopping, Kevin.
I'm all for it. 'Cause
Huge advantages.
I went through this situation when I did a couple of my short plats. Same exact thing. I go into the building department, I get my building permit, I'm good to go. No. You got an approach permit. No, you gotta go to the health department. You gotta get your septic design done and all, there's more to it. And I try to explain that to people when they're buying property. These are the things you need to go do before you buy the property.
3 separate.
So make sure you do that before you.
We pushed for this 2 or 3 years ago though, and directors weren't in support of it. So it's nice that you guys are.
Right now, you have everyone in alignment. So the timing is really good.
What about the health department?
Well, at least for,
District is not
them
Yeah,
yet.
but we contract with the health district to provide those services. And actually, if the health district were to become a department, they would save a lot of money because a lot of the, they wouldn't have to hire the attorney, their HR. Anyway, it would be probably a savings and.
So, because they used to be a health department at one time, when their office was across the street, if I remember right.
I think they were a district then.
I think they were back.
Okay.
Last time they were a department.
They were back here,
it
we're
was
in
the
part of their
50s.
office, because we moved them out for,
Yeah,
so they used to be
were
located
here.
here.
And then they were across the street at one time. But I'm all for it.
This is one step to that vision, and having that vision is important, and continuing to push that this would help, because you say, well, we've already put 2 of them together, let's get the 3rd one together.
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a,
But do we have space for more? I mean,
So-
Case, right now he says he has space for 1 of your people.
Correct, and that was
Then you're talking potentially 4.
2. So that's,
2 for you, 2 for them.
well, but they've already accounted for those. And so that was our discussion that I had with Jim about the space and the timing of this. Exactly.
well, is there a vacant building right next to
That would be awesome.
building and planning?
So we,
I think it's still vacant, the old Washington Mutual Bank. I think it's still,
That building is not good. when we
no,
looked
but
at it.
it's,
But
This
just
is
to
right-
put
you're talking
2
about right
people,
across
you
the
don't
street.
even Buy a building.
correct, it's even possible to share an office for now. So there is actually 2 offices available. The second one has just been made into a meeting room. So I think administratively, we can handle all of that, and including the startup of this. But let's take a look at the org chart that was approved last year, because it does help to guide us to look at org chart. So last year, we put together an org chart. This is our current org chart, and that is very hard to read. So I have the original, but that's the one that got approved, and then was scanned, obviously. But this is the same one, just a PDF before it was approved. So when you're looking at the development services portion of engineering, it's here. So talking about having a development/stormwater engineer, I believe we can get away with 1 permit technician. And because the development/stormwater engineer can help out. Although they are doing review and they are coordinating with developers, and they're doing a lot of pre-meetings as well. I think that would help out a lot to avoid situations where you're far into a development and you realize there is a major snag by having a development engineer at that table as well. So I think we can use what we have on our organizational chart. They would still be underneath me, but on a day-to-day basis, they would be working with Jim. So Jim would be like their supervisor on a day-to-day basis. And when necessary, it'll step up to me. For example, I sign the plats still, unless, of course, in the long run, this person here was also a professional engineer. But they're hard to find, apparently. So I think we can handle this administratively because it's already there. The structure is already there. But it's super important for you to know that we're moving that way. And it sounds like the board previously wanted to move that way as well.
Definitely in support.
All right. So it's really more about the office space and just getting things organized, because we have all the equipment. And I've had those discussions with Jim. Jim started talking to me about this a year and a half ago, and I tried then to make that happen. And I did sneak it into the org chart, as you can see. So already a year ago, we were talking about it, but now's the time. It's a brand new year, and this will really help out development in our county as well. Anyways.
At the end of the day, it may save us money if we
Yes.
get permits out in time and we get to pay back not getting our permits out.
That's exactly it, because there's only a 30 days to turn these things around.
and if you could do it sooner than later, then Kevin can say, look, I'm already just chipping away on my campaign goals right here. Kevin, you take this one and run with it. Development.
This is
Hey, I am development.
This is
Now that you
huge.
take it, that's good.
This is a win-win. This helps all. All right, there you go. You've been briefed.
I
And
think it's exciting.
administratively.
This one chart with HR.
Yes, so this is actually, the HR would have this org chart, which is very hard to read, but it's the same one because it was just scanned. But this is what you would find.
Well, we've signed it, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know, but we signed one, they didn't have it for a long time. I was making sure we didn't do that.
Oh, no. This is right in the, right in our records, so it should be available to them.
Yeah, I think, yeah, they have one. So.
Right.
Thanks, Dave.
Back to you.
The next item up for discussion is accomplishments updates, and this was John's idea. This is something that used to happen, where the board would be updated on what we'd accomplished in the previous week and what we have moving forward. So we're gonna turn the floor over to John.
Were you ever part of any of this in
Well,
the
we used to
beginning?
have, okay, we started back in the day with lunches and we could do lunches. So then we would go to 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock and have kind of the update, like what was happening in everybody's district, the
Yeah.
bridge. Yeah, I like.
Yeah,
those
and we were doing
updates.
the monthly
Yeah.
updates that way, and we've quit doing all of that. But I thought maybe, and it might have been even before your time, we as supervisors have to turn in these tentative and accomplishments every week. And I know Derek really liked to get those in so he could update the board on what we've been doing. That way, if you get phone calls about why are they out here, you kind of have an idea where we're at and what we're doing. So that's kind of what we're trying to do here. So really our accomplishments for last week for all the road districts, sign shop, bridge vegetation, even landfill if we get to that. But so all of our areas, we're doing road grading and rock raking as they were able to. You know, they can't do it first thing in the morning because it's froze down, but later in the afternoons they can get stuff done. They did some gravel replacement down in the Royal City area, as well as some weed burning. It's dry out there, but it's a good time to be burning weeds in the ditches right now. Some culvert cleaning in both District 1 and 2, down in the Warden area in District 2. Some major ditching in the Quincy area, southwest of Quincy. Runoff damage repair, both in Area 2 and down on Lower Crab Creek. We've got a bunch of runoff off the hill coming down and going under the tracks and eating the edge of Lower Crab Creek Road up. Yeah, it's happened a few times in the past. Also, there was a little bit of snow and ice control going on. It looks like they're calling for snow this week, a couple of chances for it, so we could have some more of that. Lots of brush and tree trimming, all areas, we're doing that. I know I got a call from District 2, some citizens concerned about our brush cutting. Their poplar trees got cut back a lot farther than they liked it, but Mike DeTrollo took care of that with them. Also, let's see, the bridge crew, they are continuing to do bridge inspections in January. They should be done, I believe, this month, right? And also we had some guardrail repair at Road 5 Northwest in Adams. We have that a couple times a year, it seems like. It's a pretty good intersection for damage, so. And it takes a lot of people to do it because you've got 60-mile-per-hour road both ways and lots of guardrail all around the whole intersection, so it's a big deal. So those are some of the things that we completed last week as a whole in Public Works. Most of it be the same type of work this week. And we do have hearing tests for all of Public Works this week, just so you know. It's that week we have QCL come in and do our hearing tests. So.
I had no idea you guys did hearing tests.
Every year, I believe it's requirement. Yeah.
Do the testing, and a few years ago, we started doing training on it as well. They have an online program you can buy for, I think it's $150, and you can log in as many times as you need, and we have it for a week. So we encourage all of our employees to do that training about the same time that we do the hearing testing, so.
That should do it. That's
What's the report that you have there?
I had Shiloh from all of what we turn in create a report of.
Let's see real quick. That's cool.
So all of our reports go to Shiloh, and then she has to report it probably for Crab as well. But then she just created this sheet for us to be able to report to you.
So who would we talk to? Would that be engineering or Public Works for speed limits on roads?
There's an application for that.
It's an excellent question. So if it's coming from some interested party that wants a speed limit change, it's important for them to petition. And it could be very simple, just a simple request by email, but they could also add signatures to, if they want more power behind it. And the neat thing about that, because we've found in the past, there's half of the people want a speed limit change and the other half don't. So we'll have a petition going back the other way later, right? But a petition to get it started.
I don't know that anybody wants it, I'm just.
Oh,
I'm just
that's the
asking
process.
because,
I can show
I
you.
think Tail Roads, it's time to change that speed limit out there. I know
Increase or
people don't
decrease?
want it to decrease, but in reality, it's, to me, it seems like it's an accident waiting to happen. There's been several crashes out of Tail Road, that baseline.
Yep.
I just think it needs to be lowered.
Well, if anything, you should bring it up. I bet Dave could pull up all the stats on that because we talk about it every year about increase, decrease. They wanted to do an ATV, so it'd be decreasing it to 30.
I think it needs to be 35.
We
And-
talked about all UGA roads going to 35 though,
Yep.
also.
And that is part of what we're doing right now. We're doing a Safe Streets for All study. And one of the elements of that is looking at speed limit changes throughout the county.
The only reason I say that is because Dune Lakes is planning to develop the rest of their property out there,
Yes.
and you're gonna add more and more traffic out there. And, you know, I tried to pull into a house, a couple of months ago in the summertime, late summer. And I about got nailed from the back just because people aren't paying attention. They're talking on their phones and, you know, they're doing 50 miles an hour.
Well, they're doing 65.
Or 60, you know. I think it's time to lower that.
So it's a relationship between the board and the county engineer to change the speed. So it actually is in code, the different speeds for all of our roads. So it basically the board would direct the county engineer to look at it. Typically, it does start with a petition, but the board can, or anybody can actually request to look at that. Then usually the board asks the county engineer, hey, make a recommendation. And so what I do is I've got a little form. Let me show you that really quick on petitions on the website. So if they're underneath engineering, if somebody is asking, hey, we really want to lower the speeds in it, or make a sign change, et cetera, because we have to be careful. If we make a change arbitrarily in one spot, what'll happen is an accident might happen somewhere else that has the same conditions. And what they'll do is they'll say, hey, you did it there. Why didn't you do it here? So what we want to try to do is do a thorough change. If we're going to make a change, let's think about a change for that entire corridor, for example, which is exactly what you're talking about. So underneath petition, speed and signage petitions. And it talks about how to do it and what to do it. And again, the board, it can only happen if the board adds it. It's a code thing, adds it to the coding, because then the sheriff's department can actually take action on it because it's in our code. And there's reasons why it may take extra time than just 2 to 8 weeks, but it starts with a petition. And what happened over the last 2 years, you can see our 23 and 24 road petitions. In many cases, the board chooses not to. And it's not that you're totally against it, but you see that there's reasons for it and reasons against it. And so you made the decision to be against it. But it's usually backed up by some scoring. So you can basically tell those, hey, we looked at it. There's a reason why we're not doing it. And you'll see that when you look at it. So let's just bring up one here. Oh, deferral granted, closed. That's interesting. There's reasons behind it. And here's the action that was taken by the board. So let's look this one up here. Move private fence. Oh, interesting. So a scoring is done. And then, for example, this is a very low score. So the decision probably was not to do it. And then engineer's recommendation, because you want to see that for me. Okay, what do you recommend, engineer? Because you can choose to do what you want, but usually you want to have something that you can show and you can say that I hear you, but there's a reason why we didn't do it. And then you can even show that it's on the website too, which will be transparent for you, because
I
in the
thought
past,
they did that one in 23.
Outside of, it seemed like there was,
23, yep.
Was it 22?
I was working on that.
And I know there was
Oh,
some.
great. This is the one that we denied.
Oh, no. I just happened to pull out, sorry about
Well,
that.
I think things have changed since.
Things have
The reason
changed.
it was denied was because of the amount of accidents were not high enough to reduce the limit. They had signed petition from every property owner on the entire road to lower the speed limit, or we did, but it didn't have high enough accident, and then not enough. They even did, you guys did the pedestrian counts also, because I received calls, but they were doing pedestrian counts on like Tuesday in the morning and stuff, not on the weekends when all the people are on walking or running or whatever. So
That's for Potato. You're talking about Potato.
I'm talking about Potato Hill. But they've gone through it a few times. It's probably always been a thing here. You tried it a couple of times.
I think it's time to take a look at it again. And because it looks to me that we didn't go through this, we've only really been doing this petition process properly for the last 2 years. Before that, it was a little ad hoc. We didn't really get back to things.
Was there traffic studies that were done, or is there
Yeah.
traffic counts that we could look at too? I mean,
Yes, absolutely. So that's another thing that will happen. You'll see that when underneath the scoring, that there will be some information from that as well. Often, well, I would like to have that on there as well, so I'll get it on there.
And I would expect that Safe Streets for All grant that Catherine's working on right now, she's evaluating a lot of this stuff. She's worked with the sheriff and state patrol to get all kinds of crash data. And when we come up with our safety plan, I would expect there might be a lot of changes. And right now, SS4A has money for like demonstration grants.
Yep.
So if you want to try some things to calm traffic calming features, narrow the lane down at an intersection, we will be able to try some of those things and actually see the benefits or lack of benefit. So there's a lot of work being put in on that right now. I know one of the things is counting how many driveways per mile, and she's putting a ton of work in on this. So hopefully within a year or so, we'll have some recommendations. So
that's globally though, for the entire county.
Yep. That's the thing, we don't want to be reactive, we want to be proactive, and like he said, you got to look into if you change it here, if the conditions are the same somewhere else, why didn't you change that?
I'm just thinking with the development on Dune Lake, you're gonna have
Oh, yeah.
so much more traffic, and it's gonna be, every day, not just heavy weekends like we have now, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of houses that have been built out there in the last couple of years too, so.
It's a road to nowhere. It should be 35. Said that since I've been here. My road is 35 and it goes somewhere. But
Well, I always thought it was because people were concerned about people driving back and forth with their UTVs or side-by-sides. We have that down in Cascade Valley, and I might see 3 or 4 UTVs running down the road. I mean, so it's not significant enough to even worry about. And to be honest with you, they're less of a burden than the bikers riding their Harleys at 5 a.m. in the morning or 3 o'clock in the morning, as fast as they can go.
Yep. So because the board could initiate a review of something. Would the board want to look at Potato Hill for a speed limit change? Because we've been here before.
Speed limit reduction there, then we have the
There's the
possibility of doing the ATV.
Yep.
Can go on and off, and that's what not everybody.
Well, and that's why I brought that up, because, everybody was worried about Cascade Valley. But Sand Dunes are a little bit different, but not everybody's gonna wanna get in their side-by-side and run to town. I don't think you're gonna see that big of an increase with.
Well, I
side-by-side
think
running
you
to
will
town.
probably have more people that stay in hotels and then drive their side-by-sides up to the dunes. You'll probably have more.
But they would, I guess they could go down Yonezawa, I suppose.
If they're street legal and it's 35,
They can do it.
yeah.
They got insurance. I mean, it's not and it's 35, so they're not gonna be loud for the most part, so.
did we have,
I want a county.
was it 2, 3 years ago? I remember, that's right when I got here. Didn't we have some pushback from some people that wanted to keep it 50 miles an hour?
Yeah,
But a lot
I
of
mean, you had
pushback.
arguments of if I drive 35 instead of 50 for every day, I could have drove to Utah and back.
Got it.
But that had time, some of the arguments were
Over
pretty
30
ridiculous.
years.
So there will be some pushback then, probably,
Oh, for
but
sure.
There's pushback on.
but it's the right thing to do though. And also the separated trail concept, and
We've worked on that a lot.
there is, so that maybe that needs to be included in this discussion.
Well, and I like Dave's scoring system, so just like you said, Kevin, if there's more development, ADTs are gonna go up, that will be reflected in the scoring, yeah.
Instead of just picking on, or looking at one area,
Yep.
Dave has made it very universal, so when we're looking at some, yeah, there's a plan instead of, well, I want this done in my area, but
Something
Nobody else does.
tangible we can point to about how we came to that conclusion, and prior to Dave, not that I'm aware of, we really had that,
it was hit and miss.
yeah. So,
And you get in trouble when you do that, when you only do a safety improvement in one spot and you don't do the same thing for other spots that have the same conditions, that's when you
Well,
can
I
open
think it's
yourself up.
important. If we have other areas that need to be changed, then we need to look at it. 'Cause
And that full circle back to what Rob was saying, that maybe all the UGA roads that are still under county code should be 35 miles an hour. And that is something we're definitely looking at. That would be easier to do, frankly, as well. And makes sense. All right, I will look into it. So be it. Thank you.
any questions? Concludes our meeting.
I think everything's good. I typically don't have questions until I'm inspired by somebody else that has a question. I'm like, oh, well, let me look into this.
Well, that's all we have, if you don't have any questions, so.
Hopefully inspired Dave today.
I'd just like to say, I think things are going really well. We're going in the right direction. You know, things aren't always in a straight line, but things are going really well at Public Works, and so many things are going in the right way right now. It's just awesome.
I agree.
Let's keep it that way.
We're trying.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
You are too, Dave, all of you are.
It's a good team.
Is your Jahira, is she back?
Off and on.
Okay.
She is there all week this week, and we have a ton of budget meetings that she.
You're gonna hit her hard when she's there.
Yeah. So, no, it's a good team. I agree. I think things are going well. I ignore John shaking his head no. So.
I know, January's almost over. February
I know,
starts,
I was
we're gonna be
thinking
on
that
the road
too.
projects.
We're gonna be February. So on March 3rd, we are starting on West Shore. So that's gonna, and I have on Thursday night, I have a meeting with, public meeting with the people on West Shore. So that'll be interesting.
Where's that at?
The clubhouse, the golf course. Yep. It's 7:00. And we sent out letters. We put it to all the fronting property owners. And then we also put it in the newspaper as well. And we have it, of course, on the county website. So there's some people that
What
are
day
not
is
going to be
that?
happy, but it's okay. It's going
Okay,
to be
what
beautiful
day
when
is
it's
that?
done. That's on Thursday.
This Thursday?
This Thursday at 7. And it will be tough. I mean, we're talking about 2 miles of road that is going to be fully reconstructed, that is very urban. And we're not used to that because we're doing these rural roads, right, with low density. So it's going to be tough. And there's going to be a lot of
John's
times.
used to it, because we have some
Oh, grape and maple as well
nice
this
little
year.
Seattle neighborhoods in Grant County. John
That's
is
true.
very aware of.
What time did you
Sure.
say that was gonna start?
7
suburb, our
7
suburb.
p.m. And it's actually right on
Suburbs.
the Public Works website, right there. It's the very first public, I unplugged, obviously. This is actually good public information. So right on the Public Works website, there's the landing page. We usually provide whatever public notices went out in the newspaper also go on there. If you could click the controller, HDMI controller. Do you have it, Rob? I'm sorry. There it is. So Thursday, 7 p.m. and about a month later, we are starting construction. Project plans and specs are on too, if they want to look at it. So when people are asking you about it, it's on there. And that will have some slower speeds and new signage. There will be sidewalks on both sides and fully reconstructed, so new asphalt as well, HMA. There you go.
Well, thank you.
Thank
You
you.
guys did it again. Well, you went a minute over, like
Yeah.
2:30. We had a long meeting today.
Sorry.
But we had a lot of exciting things to talk about.
It's good
with,
stuff.
One-stop shopping.
Yes.
I like that idea. That would be irritating to me if I had to go to multiple places. And I can hear
It's
people
frustrating.
come in and how frustrated they are. They didn't know they had to come to us and it's too,
Well, the problem is that they already have an approach permit and they don't realize, like, I have a house there, I've just put in a garage or a shop, you know I have it, but they don't realize that, no, you still need it again. That's probably the biggest.
I could see why, I mean, I haven't done anything in 20 years, but I could see why that would be very frustrating.
And
I
our
think so,
governor,
yeah.
our new governor in his inauguration speech said that he's working with the government agencies, so if they don't get a permit in a timely manner, that they get a refund and their permit.
Yep. Yep.
So I think we have some exciting change that's coming our way. I hope.
That's why
We actually see it and feel it.
I think this is actually required that we do this because of the quick turnarounds. I mean, obviously quick turnarounds is what we should have always been doing, but now we're being mandated to do that. So it's time. Let's put it all together in one location.
Well, and it just, you know, being in different buildings, lack of communication between both departments, not our fault, it's not their fault. You know, I think this will be better.
Absolutely, I believe so. Plus, you're worried about public works, you're worried about engineering. The health department is worried about the septics and water. You know, you're not worried about those things. So if you have them right there,
yeah,
you can say, hey, I need you to come to the front desk because this person needs your help. Instead of saying, oh, you got to go to Moses Lake now.
Yep.
Yeah, long term, I think the health district joining would be great. But it
Oh,
doesn't
I
sound
think
like
it
it's
would be awesome. That's huge. We could do that.
Yeah.
All right.
And next week I'll be in Las Vegas.
All right, we'll go into
Is it a
recess
training
for the
or a
rest of the
vacation?
day.
Vacation.